Okay, let's get started. So good morning. Today is our last day. But I forget to say, it's been a real pleasure just working with you and getting to know you better in the meeting as well. So today's our half day. So what we'll do, we have three topics for today. We'll talk about the board, board of directors, how to select the right board, and we can give you a little guidance, but a lot of it you kind of learn as you talk with your teammates. Again, that's just the wealth of knowledge that we have. We want to really bring that. And feel free to exchange your contact information with each other. We have, I think, like 15 universities. Yeah, and if you multiply by the number of students that we have at your school, you're talking 150,000 to 20,000 students. So we'll talk about selecting the board and share ideas with each other, and we'll have you do a little exercise there. And then we'll talk about exit strategy. What do you do? So you're a startup, you're an entrepreneur, you're very successful. What do you do? What's your exit strategy? We'll talk about that. And then we'll just wrap up. It's a half day, so you realize there are people that hatch a plan, so we wrap up before Tuesday. Okay, so in the book, these are the rules related to selecting your board. I'm going to have you just scan through them. And the titles are pretty indicative of what's in the content. So there are some things you may not agree with, some things may resonate with you a little better than others. But these are the board-related topics contained in the book that you have. And then there's a little more. And the first set was about finding the right board, what they should be doing. And then the second page is about running effective board meetings, who sets the agenda, and so forth. So what I'd like you to do is I'm going to have you talk about how to select the board. So what I'd like you to do is work in the teams that you did a tuk-tuk business with. And then imagine that you got the funding that you wanted, and now you have to start the business, and you want to select the right board members. And I'm going to pose 8 questions, because I think when you get in your teams, when you sit with your teams, my belief is we're going to be one team short today. So we put up 8 questions up there, and I'll assign one question to each team. So no need to do all 8, but do one that's assigned to you, and then we'll go from there. One thing to remember about board members is, so if you're the CEO and you're starting this quick business, you don't want the board to just agree with you on everything. You don't want that rubber stamping board. Hey, I want to do this. Okay.
Joe, I have a question.
Yes?
What's a board?
Board of directors.
What's a board for?
They're not employees, so they're not going to be involved with day-to-day operation. But they're sort of members that will meet occasionally, and how often you meet is up to you. And they'll give you guidance and direction. So I'll give you an analogy. Thank you for the question. I didn't expect a question from John. Okay. So I'll give you an analogy of, so if you're driving a bus called tuk-tuk business bus. On that bus, you got a lot of your people sitting there doing their thing, and that's your employees. And you're, as a driver, you're the CEO driving this bus. You're leading this team, and everybody has a role to play. Right? But the board is not on the bus necessarily, but they're like the GPS. It'll kind of give you, if you agree on where to go, they'll give you guidance on how to get there, but they're not the ones driving that bus. It's you and your employees. Right? So the board directors, guidance they should provide, direction they should provide, but they're not driving that bus for you. As a CEO, you're driving that bus. And the people on the bus are employees and they have specific roles, but board members are not, they're different from employees. And they should give you good strategic direction. Okay? And if you don't want a board, it's easier if the board agrees with you on everything. But if a board that agrees with you on everything, are they really need to do it? If all they're going to say is yes every time, then what role does they do today? So you do want a board that challenges you, has a different opinion. That doesn't have to be nasty about it, but you do want a board that can give you good guidance. So, and you don't want a set of board members that agree with each other on everything. And there's a famous saying, a lot of different people said it, but Winston Churchill, great leader, said if two people agree on everything, one person is not because they're exactly right. So you don't want a board that just rubber stamps with you on everything. Okay? So what I'll ask you to do is, time is tight, so get up and go to the group that you belong to yesterday. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And let me do the count, and if you're new today, just come on up, I place you. But go to the group right now within the next couple of minutes. So those of you who are not here Grab a seat with the team that worked with us today.
เมื่อเช้าเห็นขอโทษนะคะอาจารย์วางไว้ลุกไว้เต็มเลยไม่เป็นไรไม่เป็นไรเหลือกี่คนคะของอาจารย์เหลือสี่ของเราเหลือครบอาจารย์นะคะร้านพวกไม่เหลือเลยทำทุกจากเมื่อวานทำอะไรหาบอร์ดตรงนี้เขาเหลือ3สมมติว่าเราเป็นบอร์ดแล้วเราทีมเดเรคชั่นจากเคสเมื่อวาน
Her team deserted her. She's the only one who didn't. Okay, come on. So we got 8 teams. So today we won't go by the numbers, we'll go by letters. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Alright, so what I'm going to do is 5 of you. So your team A, your team B, your team C, and can I get you to join this team? So your C with this new member, your team D, and can I get 2 of you to join? Yes, you come as a second. Go ahead. Oh, this is your team E. And your F, and is there only 3 people? Okay, can I get 1 person? Okay. And your G, how many people do you have? Okay, what can I do?
ใช่มดชื่อมด
And then your age. Okay? So I'm going to flash up the questions. I want each team to join. The team, the 3 teams, actually 4 teams with new members. Just do a quick introduction of each other. Hey, how you doing? My name is this. But so team A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, 8 teams. All right. So here are the questions. So just tackle the question that's related to you, but you kind of go through it. So these are the questions that you or your students will have to go through in selecting the board members. Right? So first question is, what do you want them to do? Right? What are their roles? What responsibilities? What do you want them to do for you? Right? And then that's your question, Team A. And Team B, it's about how do you know how many directors you need? Do you need 2? Do you need 20? How many do we need? Right? All right. So that's your question. What process would you go through? And think back to the tuk-tuk business. How many people would I need for this business? Okay. And then Group C. Well, what are you looking for in the board member? What attributes is it have? You know, what experience, what industry, and think back to the tuk-tuk business. Well, what attributes am I looking for? So think about, I want to get these board members. How would you go about it? What characteristics, what experiences, what attributes would you want this person to have? Okay, so that's your role. And then D, so your business is going well, you hired or you got the board members you want. You meet once in a while, year goes by, 2 years go by. How do you know whether they're in a good job or a bad job? What would you measure? So, hey, if I'm a board member for your tuk-tuk business, how will you measure whether I'm giving you good advice or bad advice? Or how will you measure my performance? So that's your question. Okay, D. And then E is, so for the person coming in, what are you offering? Do you expect them to just volunteer? What kind of compensation that you offer? Are you going to give you stock options or ownership? What are you offering? So that's your question. I talked about that. And then your team is about Team F is about how would you go about getting them? Would you hire a group? Go into the professional network. Once you know how much you want to pay them, what kind of attributes you're looking for, once you know that, how would you actually find that? So that's your question. And then Group G is about, so you wanted 3 million investment. Somebody says, you know what, I give you 1 million of the 3 million. But I want to be part of that board member as
เราไม่
part
ให้
of
กลุ่มแล้วก็มา
the
ทำตรงกลางอันหนึ่งว่าตรงกลุ่มเราเนี่ยเอาไปเป็น business model แล้วก็ประมาณการเหลือกำไรเท่าไหร่แล้วเราจะเลทฟันเท่าไหร่แล้วก็ไปพิมพ์ว่าเนี่ยกำไรประมาณนี้นะ business model ทำประมาณนี้มีออฟฟิศที่ที่ตรงนี้นะ
เราจะส่งทุกๆเราดู
แล้วก็มันก็จะไปจีน
very
ไป
common
จีน
or
กับไทยมีทริปแบบไหน
the person is
ทำไม
that's your
นั่ง
question.
รถตุ๊ก
And
ๆที่เราจะ
then
ไปจีน
yours is
คือโจทย์เดิมครับโจทย์เดิม
there are conflicts in where you want to
อ๋อ
go. As a
คือเขา
GPS,
ให้
you
โจทย์
want
มา
to
ตอน
go
แร
here,
ก
but
คือ
the company doesn't want to
ให้
go there.
เป็นท่องเที่ยวแบบไปเจอตุ๊กๆจากกรุงเทพไปที่ภูเก็ต
Everybody with
ทั้ง
me?
จุดนี้คุ้ม
When you answer it, we give you 30 minutes or
เขา
20
บอกว่า
minutes
จะ
to
มี
discuss.
ลูกค้าที่อยาก
When you do, be as specific as possible. So, for those of you wanting certain attributes, say, you can name people. I want that person. I want Bill Gates to be on that board. Be very specific in your responses, not too generic. And think back at your
โมเดลเราเป็นประมาณนี้
imagine
โปรฟิ
it's
ตเราประ
really
มาณนี้เรา
happening.
จะเน้นฟัน
You have the
เรา
funding.
ทำอะไร
You have to fill the more
เราจะ
seats.
ออฟเฟอร์
That's
อะไร
all
ให้
we
กับ
do.
อินเวสเตอร์
And when your time is up, what we'll have you do is we'll have each group come up and you'll kind of answer the question that's been given to you. And then everybody else will give you feedback But this is a format that the feedback will happen. So it'll be in the format of I like and I wish. So it's different from typical feedback where it's almost becomes like a Q&A. So if you're the presenting team, you don't have an opportunity to respond. You stand, you give the presentation, and then people in the audience will give you feedback in the form of I like, I wish. You don't respond, you just take it all in. Right? Even if you disagree with what they said, even if it's completely wrong, take it in. And because in a lot of these presentations, you run into these, but you have to learn to kind of listen and take it in, even if you disagree with it. Right? So again, 3-minute presentation, followed by 3-minute feedback, but one-way feedback. You're done presenting, and the audience will give you feedback. I like, blah, 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 or I wish you had, blah, 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 blah. You don't get to respond, you just take it in. Everybody understood? Okay, go. 20 minutes.
ตอบคำถามเมื่อกี้ต้องตีเซน3 นาที
ใช่
1 นาทีก็หมดแล้วอะ
คาแรคเตอร์ของบอร์ด
หมาย
สุ
ถึ
ด
ง
เรา
ว่า
เป็นบอร์ดด้วยไหมหรือเราเป็นซีอีโอ
คือเหมือน
เหมือนเราเป็นคนซีอีโอแล้วก็เรามีต้องการบอร์ดเป็นเหมือนให้คำปรึกษาเรา
เหมือนเราต้องหาบอร์ดถูกไหมครับ
ใช่
เราจะสร้างบอร์ดขึ้นมาว่าจะเอาใครบ้าง
แล้ว
มี experience แบบไหน
และโจทย์ของเราคือเราต้องการบอร์ดที่มีคุณลักษ
สม
ณะ
บัติ
เป็นแบบไหน
คำถามของเราคืออะไรนะข้อสี่
ซีคือบอร์ดเราอยากได้บอร์ดแบบไหนคาแรคเตอร์แบบไหนมี experience แบบไหน
ใช่คือเขาต้องมีคุณสมบัติอะไรบ้าง ที่จะเราเลือกจะเข้าบริษัทเรา
คนแรกหัวหน้าตุ๊กตุ๊กคนนี้เลยนะหัวหน้าประธานตุ๊กตุ๊กแห่งประเทศไทยแต่ว่าเราต้องการ experience เราไม่มี experience
ก็พอดีไม่ได้ดูว่าบิสเนสของเนี้ยมันอะไรอย่างเป็นเช่าทุกๆมาหรือ
ใช่เช่าตุ๊กๆแล้วเมื่อวานเราก็ดีแคร์ไปแล้วว่าทีมของเราเนี่ยจริงๆแล้วเรามี experience นู่นนี่นั่นเช่นคนมีประสบการณ์ด้านเที่ยว adventure เป็นประสบการณ์ทางด้านการทำทัวร์เป็นลูกครึ่ง Chinese อะไรลาวอะไรเราเรื่องพื้นที่อะไรอย่างเงี้ยแล้วก็มีคนรู้เรื่องคอมพิวเตอร์แอปมีคนใช่คนรู้เรื่องไอทีแอปนี่ถ้าเกิดมองว่าคนที่จะมามองบอร์ดก็คือว่าจะต้องมาฟูลฟิลในสิ่งที่ทีมเรายังขาดอยู่ในเรื่องประมาณนี้ใช่ไหมคะเพื่อที่จะมาไกด์ไดเรคชั่น
แล้วไอ้ที่เช่าทุกๆเรามีอะไรคนที่รู้ที่เช่าหรืออะไรนะประสบการณ์พวกสมาคมทุกๆอะไรบ้างอย่าง
นี่ไงงั้นเราหัวหน้าสมาคมตุ๊กตุ๊กเราเป็นบอร์ดสมาคมท่องเที่ยวไทยจีน
แต่ถ้าหัวหน้าสมาคมท่องเที่ยวพี่โอเคแต่ถ้าหัวหน้าตุ๊กพี่ไม่โอเคนะ
เมื่ออาจจะต้องมีคนเช่นหน่อยไม่ใช่แรกที่ไอ้คนเช่าตุ๊กๆน่าจะไอ้คนขับตุ๊กๆเองน่าจะไม่ได้เป็นเจ้าของเองมันน่าจะมีที่หนึ่งที่มันปล่อยให้เช่า
เหมือนก็เป็นฉากก่อนไง
สักคนหนึ่งหรือว่าไอ้บอร์ดสมัครไอ้กระทรวงต่างๆ ที่มันดูแลตุ๊กๆอ่ะ
อย่างนั้นผมว่าคนแรกสุดที่เราจะดึงมาสมาคมท่องเที่ยวดีกว่าเอานี้ก่อน
สมาคมหรือว่าสมาคมไทยจีน
แล้วมันต่างกับเอยังไงอ่ะก็สิเรามันถามคาแรคเตอร์ไม่หรอไม่ได้ถามว่าต้องเป็นใครคาแรคเตอร์คือเหมือนกับเราก็มาคอนทิวอะไรบ้างเพราะที่เรากำลังตอบคือข้อ A บ้างเราก็ C ว่าใช่แต่ว่าอีกคำถามว่าที่เรากำลังพูดกันเนี่ยต้องการนายกสมาคมอะไรนี่มันคือข้อ A บ้าง
ก็จริงๆเหมือนว่าไอ้ข้อที่
แต่ว่าจริงข้อ C กับ A มันลิงก์กันอะ
ใช่
ถ้าเขาบอกว่าเขาเลือกนายกสมาคมท่องเที่ยว
ก็เลือกเพราะอะไร
ว่ามี experience
อะไร
มีคาแรคเตอร์
แต่เราเนี่ยตั้งอาจจะต้องการเราต้องให้เขาเข้ามาเพื่ออะไร
ของเราอะเข้าเพื่ออะไร
ซึ่งเดี๋ยวมันอาจจะสุดท้ายมันก็ลิงก์กับว่า A กับ B A กับ C ไปด้วยกันได้หรือเปล่าเพราะจริงก็คือ requirement ที่เราตั้งอันนั้นคือเขาเลือกมาก่อน ก็เลือก requirement ก่อนก็ได้
คาแรคเตอร์คือเฟรนลี่อย่างนี้เหรอมี
ก็ต้องรู้
จะตื่นหรือร้อนเหรอ
มีอะไรนะเรื่องการท่องเที่ยวหรือว่าระหว่างประเทศอะต้องมี expert ด้านไหนอะไรเงี้ย รู้เทรนด์การท่องเที่ยวได้พอที่จะ suggest เทรนด์ของการท่องเที่ยวพอที่จะ suggest ที่จะรู้เรื่องราวเรื่องจีนด้วยต้องเป็นท่องเที่ยวแบบแบบเนี้ย
มันก็คือจริงๆอ่ะคนที่ตอบข้อ A ต้องมาตอบข้อ C
ใช่อันมันขึ้นอยู่ว่าเลือกก่อนแล้วค่อยเพราะอะไรกับอีกอันหนึ่งคือเราต้องการอย่างนี้แล้วเราจะเลือกใครมันจะเป็นมันคิดถูกมันผูกกันอยู่นั้นเราไม่รู้หลักใครแต่เราต้องการเนี่ย
คุณสมบัติ
แบบนี้เราค่อยไปนึกว่าคือใครนั้นเราจะนึกถึงคนก่อนเรานึกถึงคุณสมบัติก่อน
คุณสมบัติแน่นอนมี knowledge
ที่บอกน่าจะต้องเหมือนกับ
ก็ชอบเอเวนเจอร์
suggest การท่องเที่ยวทิศทางการท่องเที่ยวในอนาคตของ
มีวิชั่น
มีวิชั่นว่าการท่องเที่ยวในอนาคตเนี่ยมันจะเป็นการท่องเที่ยวในพื้นที่ของเอเชียเนี่ยไทยลาวจีนเนี่ยมันจะไปในรูปแบบความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างประเทศมันจะเป็นยังไงอะไรประมาณอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
มันจะตีแบบคุณสมบัติจะใช้คำว่าอะไรคุณสมบัติคนแบบนี้
เดี๋ยวกลับมาต้องมา
แอดเวนเจอร์แล้วก็เราก็ต้องเกริ่นของเราก่อนว่าเรามีอะไรอยู่ที่เราเก่งแล้วเราก็เลยต้องการฟูลฟิล
ไอ้ถามบอร์ดเราไม่เจอบอร์ดเราอยู่ตรงไหนบอร์ดเราเมื่อวานไม่ใช่นี้ไม่ใช่ไม่ใช่ห้องเราอยู่แล้วเอามาดูไหมที่เราเขียนขนาดนั้นขนาดทีมเราเพราะว่าเดี๋ยวเราพรีเซนต์เราน่าจะต้องอ้างอิง
ว่าเนี่ยเรามี
1,000,000,000
อย่างนี้แล้วเรากำลัง
ของเราที่มีตอนนี้คือแบบเป็นกลุ่มระดับปฏิบัติงานที่มี experience ในเรื่องนี้แต่ว่าบอร์ดต้องมองวิชั่นแบบมองไปไกลๆว่าพิจิตรได้ว่าอนาคตจะเป็นยังไง
บอร์ดนี้อาจจะไม่กี่คนก็ได้เนาะ
ก็อย่าเยอะมากเกินไปเดี๋ยวมันจะตีกันแต่เขาบอกว่าถ้าดูคำพูดคนนี้เขาบอกว่าต้องเลือกบอร์ดที่ต่างๆเลยอย่าให้มันเห็นตรงกัน
จะได้10 year experience แต่เมื่อก่อนไม่ต้องมี experience มากกว่า10 year
นี่คุยกันว่าของเรามันเป็นระดับปฏิบัติการแต่ว่าเราต้องการคนที่มองแบบวิชั่นไกลๆแล้ววันนี้มันคือพวกแบบโอเปอเรเตอร์นะเลยที่แบบมีประสบการณ์ท่องเที่ยวแอดเวนเจอร์นะมีประสบการณ์อยู่ใน
อินดัสทรีนี้
ดิแต่วันนี้เราต้องการคนที่มองวิชั่นได้คนที่รู้ในระดับ
ภาษาด้วยไหม
ภาษามันก็น่าจะเป็นระดับทีมมันไม่น่าจะเป็นระดับบอร์ดภาษาพี่หมายถึงคนที่สื่อสารได้
ถึงแม้จะเป็นระดับบอร์ด
เพราะว่าบอร์ดที่บทบาทก็คือไกด์ไดเรกชั่นใช่ไหมไม่ควรจะมุกเส้นสมมติว่าเส้นทางคือหมิ่นไม่โอเคแล้วควรจะเปลี่ยนเส้นทางไหนอะไรอย่างเงี้ยก็น่าจะต้องมีคนที่แบบรู้ทิศทางการเติบโตของเมืองหรือว่าอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
เพราะจริงๆบอร์ดไม่จำเป็นต้องมีคนเดียวมีหลายคน
ก็ต้องเติม
ผมว่าท่านเนี่ยเป็นแบบคาแรคเตอร์แบบเช่นต้องการความรู้ด้านอะไรบ้างเหมือนอันแรกสุดผมว่าก็แน่นอนต้องมาจากทัวริซึม
ใช่
ไฟแนนซ์เกี่ยวกับการเงินถ้าบอร์ดแม่งรวยประสบความสำเร็จเขาก็น่าจะมีเทคนิคดีๆมาในคอมเมนต์หน้าเป็น entrepreneur ไม่แต่บอกทั่วไปก็เป็น entrepreneur
ใช่แล้วใช่ยกเว้นพวกทัวริซึมพวกนั้นมันเป็นเขาก็จะรู้ถึงไอ้เทรนด์หรือไอเดีย
ด้านทัวริซึมด้านไฟแนนซ์ด้านอะไรกูก็เมนด้วย
เขาแล้วพวกเขาเจอพวก
จีนอ่ะ
ก็ถ้าพวกคอมเมนต์จริงมันมีนั่นแหละพวกสมาคมไทยจีนที่มันจะมีคอนเนคชั่นอะไรเงี้ยก็เพื่อเขาจะรู้เราชแนลช่องทางในการ
คนที่มี knowledge ก่อน
ทางด้าน business ด้วย
ใช่ครับ finance บวก business ผมว่า marketing ก็ดีนะที่เป็น local เลยเพราะเราจากคนจีนแล้วคนจีนเราบางทีเราไม่ได้ถึง
แล้วลูกค้าเราคือใคร
คนจีนหรือคนไทย
ทั้งคู่
เอเชียยุโรป
ไทยก็ได้
แต่ว่าก็ไปจีนถูกไหมครับ
ใช่
เส้นทางเราคือจีนไทยทุกควรรู้มาร์เก็ตติ้งในจีน
ในทีมที่ตั้งไว้มันมีรู้ culture จีน culture ไทยใช่ไหมครับไทยรู้อยู่แล้วculture จีนนี่รู้ใช่ไหมครับ
ไม่มีอยู่ในมาร์เก็ตติ้ง
เหมือนกันขอได้ข้อหน่อย
นอกจากความรู้นอกจากความรู้ก็ต้องมีเรื่องคอนเนคชั่นด้วย
เพราะว่า
networking
เพราะว่าใช่เนี่ยมีสามคำผมชอบผมเป็น networking financial แล้วก็นั่นก็คือ knowledge
tourism government
ใช่
marketing China
แล้
Thai
ว connect เนี่ย connect
หลัก
เนี่ย
knowledge ทั่วไป
เรามีนี่อยู่
ลูกครึ่งแต่ลูกครึ่งมันเป็น operation
อันนี้ของน้องไม่ถึงอะไรรู้
อันนี้เป็นพวกบอร์ดก็ไม่จำเป็นว่าทุกคนต้องมีความรู้
ทุกอย่าง
แต่อันนี้ก็อาจจะเป็นแบบ expert ในทุกเรื่องที่เป็นไชน่าเป็นไทยเนี่ยแต่บางทีเขาก็อาจจะแนะนำได้ดี เช่นเขาอาจจะเคยเป็นไกด์มาก่อนแล้ว30 ปีอะไรเงี้ยในไชน่าหรือเป็นคนจีนด้วยเป็นไกด์ด้วยหรือเป็นไกด์ไทยอยู่ในจีนสลับไปมา
คืออยู่ในแวดวงของบริษัท
ใช่แต่เป็นปฏิบัติไงครับแต่ไอ้ทัวริซึมเนี่ยเป็นผู้เหมือนแบบเคยเป็นนายกองค์กรรู้เทรนด์ทั้งหมด
อยู่ในสมาคมท่องเที่ยวอะไรประมาณ
เขาจะได้เทรนเพราะว่าบางทีคนทำไม่รู้เทรนส่วนไอ้ไฟแนนซ์เพราะว่าแบบเหมือนบางทีเราก็เป็นองค์เทอร์เพเนอร์อาจจะไม่แบบไม่มีความรู้ด้านองค์เทอร์เท่าไหร่ตัวค่าเขาก็แนะนำได้เพราะว่าเป็น regulation ของพวก expert มาก็อย่างเงี้ยสมมติบอร์ดเรามี5 คน6 คนก็แต่ละคนเป็น expert ในแต่ละอันก็มาแนะนำเรา
ซึ่งบทบาทหลักที่ต้องการของเขาคือว่าเขาต้อง evaluate ว่าที่เราทำอยู่มันโอเคไหมมันควรที่จะปรับ
ก็
ปรุงอะไรไหม
keep direction แล้วก็ trend
evaluate ด้วย evaluate คือตรงไหน
ฉะนั้นแบบคาแรคเตอร์พวกมันก็ควรเป็น evaluate ด้วย
พูดมาเอง
สามารถที่จะ evaluate keep direction นะครับสามารถสร้าง direction ให้เราได้ มีความกล้าตัดสินใจ
direction คือ
อาจจะมีคนรู้เรื่องไอทีหรือเอนจิ
ก็
เนียร์
บางงานก็เหมือนก็โคชชิ่งด้วยป่ะเหมือนว่าแนะนำเรา direction กับโคชชิ่งอะไร
เรา
นะ
ไอทีอินดัสทรีมาสักคนหนึ่งบอร์ดเราเริ่มเยอะ
ไม่คือสมมุติว่าอย่างไฟแนนซ์หรือมาร์เก็ตติ้งบิสเนสเนี่ยมันก็
7 minutes โอเคไอ้
หรือทัวริซึมกับ
ไอ้
มาร์เก็ตติ้งบิสเนสอาจจะเป็นคนเดียวกันก็ได้เขาก็อยู่ในธุรกิจ
จริงๆอะผมว่า
อะไรอย่างเงี้ย
connection อะไอ้ connection มันน่าจะต้อง connection มันต้องรู้ government ไปด้วยในตัวไอ้เนี่ย
เผื่อบางคนมันมี
ใช่เพราะว่าถ้าเอาไอ้ government มาเลยโดยตรงนี้บางทีเขาไม่ค่อยแต่ว่าอันนี้มันจะรู้ว่าจะต้องถามใครยังไง
ค่าเสี่ยงไหมหรือเปล่าคาแรคเตอร์เขาใหม่คุณสมบัติที่นอกเหนือจาก knowledge
ไม่งั้นก็ต้องอายุอ่ะเหมือนถึงว่าต้องมีอะไรนะ
วุฒิภาวะ
วุฒิหนึ่งคนแล้วที่เหลือจะเป็นเนี่ยไม่ใช่แบบหนุ่มทั้งหมดแล้วอันนี้ มันต้องหลากหลายต่าง
เมื่อกี้บอกว่ามี knowledge มี connection มี experience ที่เกี่ยวข้องกับไอ้ท่องเที่ยวเชิง
ก็ต้องไม่ให้ experience
เขาอาจจะเป็นคนที่ชอบแนวนี้หรือเปล่าอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
แต่เปลี่ยนเนี่ยไม่เปลี่ยนทำด้านนี้อาจจะอันใดอันหนึ่งก็ได้ใช่ไม่จำเป็นต้องถ้าได้ทั้งหมดดีก็ดี
เพราะพวกนี้มี experience อยู่แล้วบอร์ดไม่น่าจะเป็นเด็กอยู่แล้วบอร์ดต้องรับผู้ประสบความสำเร็จในด้านต่าง
คำที่มาพร้อมบอร์ดคืออายุ
ผู้ใหญ่
ผู้ใหญ่
งั้นบอร์ดเราก็อาจจะต้องมีเด็กเข้าไปบ้าง
ใช่ก็ผมว่าควรจะต้องมีไอ้
เป็นคาแรคเตอร์
สักคนหนึ่งที่เป็นไม่ได้ทั้งหมดแต่ว่าเอาสักคนหนึ่ง
ถ้า
คอย
บอร์ดสักคนหนึ่งเป็นคนที่แบบอยู่นอกอุตสาหกรรมไปเลย
ก็เป็นแนวเรนเจอร์หรืออะไรที่เป็นพวกที่แบบท่องเที่ยวอย่างเงี้ย
คือมันเป็นคนที่อยู่นอก
คือใช่มันมีใช่มันมีบางคนที่มันหน้าที่มันคือมันแอดเวนเจอร์โดยไม่ได้คิดพิเศษแต่ว่ามันชอบมันก็จะมาแชร์ว่ามันจะต้องคนกลุ่มนี้คืออะไร
ขนาดนั้นที่เป็นบอร์ดเลย
นอก
เขาแอดไวซ์
ก็แอดไว้นะ
คนที่เป็นคอนซัลท์เราก็ได้มาเอาคนพวกนี้มาเป็นบอร์ดกันเลยเหรอ
เพราะว่าถ้าไม่ถ้าคอนซัลท์เนี่ยหมายความว่าเราคอนซัลท์เราแล้วบอร์ดมันไม่เห็นไม่ได้ยินมันก็
เป็นที่เขาเรียกอะไรจริงๆคอนซัลท์ก็พามาประชุมในบอร์ดได้
ได้
ก็ถ้าอย่างนั้นโอเคแต่ว่าคือเพราะว่าไม่งั้นบอร์ดมันจะไม่ได้ยินไอ้นี่เลย
เพราะเราอยากรู้ฝั่งในมุมมองของลูกค้าด้วยเนาะว่าสมมติ
ใช่ว่าเขาอยากได้อย่างนี้อย่างนี้
เพราะ
ซึ่ง
ว่าแมเนเจอร์เลสชูขึ้นมาบอร์ดก็มีประเด็นดูประเด็นแต่ละประเด็นไปคำถามคือเราเป็นองค์เจ้าคนเล็กๆทำไมเราต้องใช้บอร์ดกว่า
วันนี้พี่โตขึ้นไปไอ้เหมือนแอสซูมว่าไอ้เกิดแล้ว โตแล้ว
ปกติบริษัทขนาดกลางไม่มีบอร์ดบริษัทเล็กๆเรามีบอร์ดมีเอ็กซ์เพิร์ทุกด้านด้วยเก่งเกินไปแล้วบอร์ด
เก่งกันเลยธุรกิจนี้ไม่ธรรมดาแล้ว
รัฐมนตรีกระทรวง
ไม่เอา
การคลัง
เชิญเขาไม่ได้ค่อยมาเป็นเลย
โอ้โหเขามาทำไม
โอเค
จริงๆแต่บอร์ดก็อาจจะไม่กี่คนก็ได้
ใช่บอร์ดเราจะมากกว่าคนโอเปอเรเตอร์นะเพราะจริงๆไม่ได้จำนวนคนเรามันดู experience ว่าเราต้องการแนวไหนมันอาจจะเป็นคนเดียวกันที่อยู่ครบทุกอันก็ได้ใครจะไปรู้อะไรเงี้ยใช่เราอาจจะไม่ได้ expert แต่ละอันแต่ว่าอันนี้มันรู้กับทุกอันก็ได้บางคนเพราะเนี่ยตั้งมานี่ค่าใช้จ่ายตรงเนี้ย
ใช่ใช่บอร์ดอาจจะเป็นไอเดียเป็นแองเจิลฟันด้วยซ้
บอร์ดน่าจะรวย
คือเหมือนธุรกิจบอร์ดนี่มันต้องมีสัดส่วนมาจาก VC ที่เขาอันนี้ด้วยป่ะ
หลายถ้ามีใช่เพราะว่าเขาจะมา
ำไม่งั้นถ้าเกิดคนให้ตังค์ไม่เห็นด้วยจบ
ก็เนี่ยก็อาจจะบอกว่าเนี่ยต่อไปเราหาวิธีก็หาหน้าตาเนี่ยจะได้มาเป็นบอร์ดเราด้วยในตัวเพราะมันจะได้มีส่วนร่วมกับเรา
แล้วจะได้เห็นตังค์ได้
ก็
จริงๆเอาบอร์ดที่รวยมาจบเราจะสู CP มาคนเดียวจบ CP มีทั้งคอนเน็กชั่นมีลูกน้องบริษัทมีเงิน
โอ้โห
สุดแล้วถ้าบอกว่า
เพอร์เฟกต์อะเพอร์เฟกต์อะ
ถ้าเราเชิญเขาไปได้เราก็ประสบความสำเร็จนะแต่มาเขาจะมาหาเรา
จริงๆต้องบอกว่าบอร์ดไม่จำเป็นเลยสิ่งที่จำเป็นคือ business plan ที่ตรงตาตรงใจของเจ้าสัว CP ถ้า business plan มันตรงใจ
แต่ได้คนเพอร์เฟกต์อย่างนั้นมันก็อาจจะบวกและลบนะ ถ้าเกิดเขาแบบไม่เอาเลย โน ไม่เห็นด้วยอย่างเงี้ยไปเลย
มันเลือกตัวอย่างภาษา
หรือเขาบอกใหม่แล้วอาจารย์ใหม่
ผมไม่รู้เรื่องอะไรเลยครับเดี๋ยว
ไม่เป็นไรอาจารย์ไปรู้เรื่องนี้แหละดี
เพราะมันต้องมีอะไรนะมันมีไอเนี้ย
อาจารย์จะได้ถ่ายไปเรื่อยๆได้
ไหลไป
เอา experience ของอาจารย์มา
ว่าแทบจะไม่รู้เรื่องอะไรเลย นี่นะดูคนนี้แหละคนนี้น่าจะ
เมื่อวานนี่เซลแมนของเรา
โอเครู้แล้ว
ไม่เมื่อวานผมทำแล้วไงวันนี้เขาเปลี่ยน
วันนี้ก็ทำต่อ
ทีเขาเปลี่ยนมาก
เปลี่ยนคนดู
จับฉันสุดท้ายอาจารย์ใหม่เป็นเอกฉันท์
อย่างนี้เป็นประชา
ถ้าอาจารย์ไม่ได้ปุ๊บเดี๋ยวคนอื่นช่วย
ใช่
อันนี้เป็นประชาธิปไตยที่ไม่โอเคแล้ว
ไม่โอเคแล้ว
4-1
มันเรียกว่าเป็นอะไรนะ
เป็นเผด็จการประชาธิปไตย
ไม่ได้กัน
แล้วสรุปเมื่อวานเขากลุ่มไหนที่ดีที่สุด
กลุ่มไอ้นั่นเนี่ย SC and B
เพราะอะไรทำไมเขาดีที่สุด
เขามีรูป
แต่เมื่อวานน้องมีจุดขายสำคัญของเราโซเชียลเอนเกจเมนต์
ผมว่าลืมไปอะไรพูดไป
ไม่แต่ว่าโอ
หม
เค
ดเวลา
Chairs right here. TG, I have some chairs for you there. So, right there. Special.
เขาจัดโต๊ะเรียบร้อยแล้วเนี่ยจัดเก้าอี้เป็นเรื่องมา
Like here. Yes. You guys are over there.
Oh,
ไม่งั้นมันอยู่ไกล
จริงแล้วต้องให้คนจดเพราะว่าคนจดรู้ว่าจดอะไรไม่ผมก็ไม่ได้มาเมื่อวานด้วยแต่ที่หนักเกิน
ทุกคนปวดให้จัง
So let's have Group A come up. We'll welcome them when they come up, and they're going to talk about something very important. So Group A,
2 นาที
come on. Yeah.
เนี่ยผมนี่เรื่องการพูดให้สั่นแน่
For all the members of the club.
เอาพอเลย
อ๋อเดี๋ยวมีเบอร์อ๋อเขาไปถึงทีม
Yeah, let's go back to the previous. Yes. And the way it works, I'm going to time you. This is the rules. I'm going to time you 2.5 minutes for the presentation and face the audience. Face the audience. Yeah. And we'll have a feedback for 2 minutes in the form of I like what they did, what they said, and I wish something that you wish they had said or wish they had considered. Okay? All right. But no response from back to the audience. Just take it all in. Okay? So we'll have not kind of passing this around for the comments. And presenters face the audience.
So in response to the question, what do you require of the directors or board members? What do you want them to do?
Since the board member is the supreme governing body of the company, I would expect the board members to oversee the activities of the company. I want them to appoint the chief executive officer, and they're supposed to set out the strategic direction of the company. They are composed of influential individuals, especially in industry that related to us, which is tourism, travel, and transportation. They should be individuals who are well versed in this field of expertise. Okay, these people will give us consultations, advice to help us secure networking in the industry. Okay, while we undertake the company, they are supposed to do the auditing. They can audit the company, and they can also look into the corporate governance
15
of
seconds.
our companies. That's all.
Okay, very good. Thank you. One-way feedback on the I wish, I like.
I like the qualification that he said. He want to have a director who have a specialist in the field of tourism.
I wish the board of directors should have open-minded person.
How do we know that your director that you pick up gonna fit your company? That you have like a management team, you know all your qualification, but you have to choose something that different from your guy. Right?
We get just one. Let's get one more. We got 30 seconds. One, twice. Very good. Okay, thank you. Team B?
All the team members have to go up. Yep.
ลองให้ผมไม่พูดนะครับเดี๋ยวขอ
อาจารย์ไง
ไม่สิผมไม่เอาบอกก่อนผมไม่เอามาใหม่ดิไม่รู้อะไรเลย
All the team members in place? Come on.
Green team.
Let's go.
Okay. For overclass, so someone may like to know that how many board of directors that we would like to invite them to be, right? So for our opinion, we think 5 it should be a good number. 3 might be too small. 5 because of first our firm is so small when we start, right? If we have board of directors more than 5, it's going to be hard to get them some, I would say, pay them some shake. It will be very hard, right? So that is a key. And also, we like to be the odd number. It's easy to make any decision. And at the end, we also like them to be, I would say, more in multidisciplinary. In this world, everyone should be very friendly with. So we like one should be strong in marketing, one should be strong in tuk-tuk driving. For example, yes,
มันจะมีซึมก็ได้เนี่ยสวะซ่อมตุก
get that.
ยังไม่เคยซ่อม
Because our question would be the easiest one.
Any questions? Not questions, comments, feedback?
The number of the number of the is very with variety have variety of the number.
I like the way and the reason how you determine the number of the directors in the board, especially when it comes to voting decision and how would you decide and the final vote to be an odd number. I totally agree with that.
I wish I want to know the name of the member. For example, might be you.
Any others? I wish.
I think I have the different opinions about the number of board that should be odd numbers. I think board meeting means the process of thinking about critical things. It should not end with the majority vote. So probably even number is okay. Probably better when you have the equal vote against something. So maybe it means that they have to reconsider it again until they get the majority vote.
Let's get one more. 30 seconds.
I wish you have like a exactly number that you want to set up on the board. You need to know like team, how much for your team, and then you're gonna see who you want to be one of your team in the future to management of your business going well, something like that.
Very good. Time's up. Thank you. Thank you. Get Team C. Come on up. C. Come on.
รับไม่รับไม่
ซึ่งเราไม่รับใหม่
You can do it. Go ahead.
ทุกคนไม่ยอมรับใหม่
Okay, ready? Set? Go.
basically we assume our group assume the board have to have the network, have the business network already, and they still have the knowledge and vision as well. So we try to categorize the characteristics of the people in the board. We got the 5 characteristics that we want. The first one, the board can like evaluate the performance of the firm right now, and they can give for that result they can give the direction, the lead direction of the way to solve the problem for the firm. And the board one of the board has to be the younger person, because the young man is basically is a risk taker. So we want to the new way we want the breakthrough to do something new as well. The fourth one, either board member have to have the leadership characteristic as well. And the last one is quite weird, but the board have to be rich. But we have the reason behind the rich. Before they become rich, they have to like get a lot of fail. They get a lot of experience. That's why we need that experience to solve the problem for the firm.
Very good. Thank you. I wish feedback for our team.
I like all characteristic of the board you mentioned, but I wish to know about chairperson who can play a key role in the board. Who is he? Who is she that can direct or can leadership in the board is an important part. So if you have a good one, good candidate, it can help your board. And for the last part you mentioned, I think a rich person is good, but I wish more about the person who have entrepreneurial mind, something like that, more than rich person. Thank you.
Good. Let's do one more. We've got 1 minute, 10 seconds remaining.
I wish this group have more qualification, or not the young, to say the young, because they can take this, but I think middle age or old person, they can also take this. So it is not important to have a young, but they should have the risk-taking characteristic.
Any question?
Okay. Good. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. Ready? Right. Okay, go.
We are going to measure performance. In this case, it's concerned about the group. So I choose at the first time we choose the board member because he he knows a lot about doing the business in China because we learn a lot. And we measure by the idea that he gives us a number of ideas and the flow of the process of the negotiation. When he suggests us to go to meet that people, it's work or not. Because when we do the business, it's kind of very difficult to do in China. And also the flow of the process. And when we evaluate in the team, not use the outside people, because we know a lot about the flow. It's easy or not easy to go into each field of the business. And less is the revenue is the bottom line of the decision to make the performance of the board of the director.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Feedback. I wish I liked.
น้องเขาวิชว่าแบบว่าวัดเหมือนกับ workplace happiness เนี่ยค่ะก็คือถ้าเขา direct แบบว่าdirect ให้แบบเป็น happy workplace ใช่ไหม
happy workplace คือเหมือนกับว่าถ้าในอันนี้ของภาษาไทยนะคะถ้าในที่ทำงานหรือในอันนี้บอร์ดมีความสนุกการทำงานเนี่ยมันจะยิ่งแบบว่าเหมือนกับว่าเพิ่มมีไอเดียอะไรใหม่ๆเข้ามาทำให้ธุรกิจแบบเหมือนว่า work flow ไม่ได้อะค่ะ
Any others?
Did you mention what is your measure your board performance?
Yes, we you wish or you like?
I don't know. Out of my mind.
No, you could have said, I wish you were more clear.
More clear about measure one performance.
So you mentioned it, but it wasn't clear from the nature of the question. Okay. One more.
Okay, this is going to be an idea. I wish you could find someone rather than Mr. Jack, because he's someone who might not be able to afford time for, to devote his time to a new venture like this. Okay?
Team F will answer that one. How would you get that person? Okay, very good. Thank you. Board compensation. Okay. Team E, come on up. Ready? Okay, go.
Normally for compensation plan of the board, it's from salary, meeting fee, and also committee bonus, and also stock option. But for this case, it is quite small. Just that. For Tuk we think that meeting fee also quite important. If we come to meeting, we also prefer for meeting fee. We also can convince someone who has excellent capability and also capacity to join us. And also the committee bonus challenge the board to support or to share their experience and also their knowledge to the company for getting very good bottom line. Stock option, I think opportunity to get stock option in the future because it quite, very long-term plan. So that's why board also have opportunity to get stock option when they go to this step of doing AI.
Thank you.
I wish this group should have a market survey for the compensation for the board, because right now we have 8 companies sitting around here, you can see 8 group, and we would like to get the super board like this also. If you pay them or if you give them less than my company, maybe they come to my company. This would have more market survey for the community board.
So I like the stock option. So if I am considered as a board member, I think this one is encouraged.
One more? Yes. Very good, thank you. And Team F, how will you get is that mom, right? How will you get that person to join you?
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
ลูกเมียเป็นตัวประกันเองก็มาทำงาน
So, our group, we have to get the board to get the person to become our board, right? So right now we are startup, we cannot do anything much on share, we cannot promise much. So what can we do is we sell the idea. We just have to convince that guy to believe in our plan and let them know that they can help us. So we sell the idea mainly, and we can go to that guy by connection only. So that's how we know the person. Otherwise, we don't know that he might be like very strong leadership. He might not like listen to other people, that kind of thing. First thing we have to know him by connection, and we convince them to buy our idea. Other thing is we can offer him some shares, we can offer him some shares, some mutual benefits as well. We can offer that guy that maybe that guy might got some mutual benefits with us. For example, if we do something, the tuk-tuk thing, maybe we cooperate with a Agoda or that kind of thing, so the mutual benefit together. So that's the way we do it.
Thank you.
I like the way they compare to the guy that they want, but I wish, no, okay, I like
I wish I can join your question for the next step. I mentioned your idea. That's it.
I like your all ideas, but I think the board have the same directions, and they not the same direction, but they have the clear cut target idea for their business.
Good. Thank you. This is investors who want is demanding a course. Ready?
Our group have an expert in financial and accounting. What's your expertise?
tourism and agricultural tourism. Marketing. Yes. Accounting and taxation.
Okay. So accounting and finance also. I need some IT and local connection. So I need to find someone who know well about local business over there in Kunming. And so I'm gonna choose by the qualification that I need to run our business, to be our partner, right? We see of me gonna be someone who give us the knowledge that we want to have in our business. That would be all.
Another thing is to select the investor, like you have to talk, like get to know that person, and make sure that like we have the same vision or same passion, like to run the business, right? So some people who only wish or like they don't have the same vision, we may just ask for the money and give them the share, but not ask them to be the part of the board. So it depends on the negotiation, and the most important thing is like I think like we will choose an investor who like have the same like vision as like our company has.
They're gonna be our good team, right?
Yes, yeah, and we
Get along with them, right?
I wish I like.
I love their presentation that allow all of them participate in the presentation.
Yeah. I like the same reason is an important point to mutual investment. Yeah, is important.
So I also like when you include passion and enjoyness, happiness, when somebody needs to guide your company. So if they enjoy, they do more than the money they got.
Good, thank you.
We assume that the fundraise are different opinions about business, not personal. So normally you can offer them or the board to debate or give information as soon as possible to the member of the board. After they give the all information to the board, after that we have to decide which one we going to go left or right. Because when we have the conflict, it's between two different ideas. They fight together, they debate together, give us information, and then vote. And then after the vote, we will have the majority number, so we can go on that way. And also, for the number of the board, opinion should be odd number, like 5 people, including CEO. But normally CEO not that they normally do not vote. Just keep silent. And when we have like a situation like equal to 2, the CEO should be good. That's our opinion. Very good.
โอเคครับประเด็นครับเราทำสัญญาเรียบร้อยแล้วว่าเราจะไปยุ่งซึ่งกันและกัน
I wish you can bring him into the team.
ทำไมที่ถึงอยากจะมีคนอื่น
But we cannot because we are our team is come together. Did you believe that?
No, I mean in the board.
Because our team is come together. Did you believe that? As you can see, as our team is come together,
You can see the color, the same color. They got the same color. You can dance.
เปลี่ยนเสื้อ
Very good. Thank you. So that's the right word. Either make your company or break it. So it's important that you get the right one and work together. So what we'll do is let's take a 10-minute break, and then we'll have Ajahn Ed go through exit strategies, and then we'll go wrap up. So let's take a 10-minute break.
ถ้าพูดถึงเรื่องไฟแนนซ์ในเชิงเทคนิคไม่ค่อยได้ครับมันก็ต้องเหมือนกันเลยนะว่าในเชิงไอเดียในเชิงการรันบิสเนสเขาบอกเห็นส่วนใหญ่เห็นการทำว่าเขาก็ไม่รู้มันเป็นมาร์เก็ตติ้งสัก60ไฟแนนซ์สัก40เพราะส่วนใหญ่เวลางานหลักของEntrepreneurial Financeคือเลสฟันคือยังไงทำไงให้เลสฟันชนะมันยากมากที่จะบอกว่าผมต้องการเลสฟันเท่านี้แล้วก็บอกว่าผม forecast งบประมาณนี้ส่วนแบ่งที่เป็นเดือนที่มันไม่100%ว่าขายแล้วขายอะไรถึงไปหรือเปล่าขายไอเดียที่เขาบอกว่าถ้าเกิดขายไอเดียแล้วเขาเห็นตรงกับเราชอบมันก็จะได้ฟัน
แต่ว่ามันก็ต้องบางคนอาจจะเป็นอะไรนะเหมือนว่าอยากทำให้จอยกับมันไม่ได้
แค่อยากทำ
เหมือนที่
บางคนผมว่าแองเจิลบางคนอาจจะไม่ค่อยรู้เรื่องอะไรในบิสเนสอะไรเลยแต่แค่ว่าเห็นว่าเฮ้ยไอเด็กกลุ่มนี้แพชชั่นว่ะแพชชั่นดีแล้วมันน่าจะเป็นไปได้
ใช่เขาสามารถเซ็น
แนวทางที่แบบโปรเฟชชั่นอลทำประมาณ
ใช่แล้วเรื่องแบบเช่นแบบ number of group นี้เขาทำงาน entrepreneur คำตอบมันหลากหลายมาก50นะแต่เขาต้องมี magic number ในใจว่ามันควร
จะเป็นประมาณก็เคยมีก่อนอะไรนะมีก่อนคือที่ให้นิตินำเสนอดีข้อดีคือมันจะให้ภาษาที่เราเข้าใจแต่ว่าจริงๆมันก็จะต้องเติมเนี่ย
เนาะเหมือนซัมมารีสุดท้าย
ว่าเนี่ย
กำลังว่านี่คำถามเนี่ยคือประมาณว่าเราต้องหาคำตอบคือจริงๆมันมีในอินเทอร์เน็ตแล้วแหละถ้าไปเสิร์ชมันจะมีคนเรียกคอมเมนต์ทุกชิ้นเป็น expert ทุกคนเรียกคอมเมนต์เพราะว่าตอนที่เราสอบเรียนเราไม่สามารถที่ทำได้แบบเด็กตอบคำถามไม่เรียนได้เสร็จแล้วก็เราเป็น facilitator แต่เราไม่ไกด์สุดนะ
เดี๋ยวผมคาดหวังจากเราว่าเราจะ
ให้คำตอบนิดนึงตอนสุดท้ายใช่ไหมครับ
แต่ว่าคำตอบพวกนี้มันไม่ได้เป็น exactly ใช่ไหมครับมันคือ flexible อยู่แล้วแต่
มันมีกรอบตรงนิดนึง
เอาจุดนี้ก่อนคือพอวางนี้ได้กูเสียงให้หลับงานคนยุ่งคนนี้มันคุยสเปนไทม์เพื่อมาฟังทุกคนพูดภาษาอังกฤษแบบมุกออกมาแล้วกลับไปบอกเลยนะว่าเป็นอะไรครับกำลังจะบอกอาจารย์เราไปทำวิจัยดีกว่าเมื่อเสร็จแล้ว
ไม่แต่ว่าผมเป็นชื่อมันแต่กลับมาฟังนะคนละ
ที่งานเนี่ยคนพูดออกมาคือถามว่ามาเอาเทคนิคมาสอน ไม่ใช่เพราะปกติก็สอนแบบนี้อยู่แล้วสอนแบบเขาแต่ทุกครั้งที่เราถามเด็กสุดท้ายเราก็จะไกลไปแล้วก็บอกเด็กว่าไม่เดี๋ยวนะแต่จากที่ประสบการณ์อินดัสทรีที่เคยทำมาจะเป็นแบบนี้แต่ยุคอาจจะเปลี่ยนไปแต่เนี่ยผมไม่บอกเราว่าลักษณะ entrepreneurial ต้องใช้บอร์ดมันกี่คนสมมติใช้3สมมติเขาเป็น expert เขาสามารถจะสมมติ next file อย่างนี้ที่คนนี้ก็บอกเองว่าเขาเคยเรียนมาว่าน่าจะประมาณ1 ปีแต่เราก็มีเวลาสมมติถ้าเราเป็นเราก็อาจจะปีครึ่ง2 ปีแต่ว่ามีเลข
นิดหนึ่ง
ว่ามันไม่ใช่ไหมเหมือนในวันนั้นที่เราพิเศษเสร็จทำไมเขาต้อง1 ปี2 เดือนแต่ expert อาจจะมอง2 เดือน
แล้วก็7-8-9ที่จะพาเด็ก
อย่างว่าผมไม่ได้เรียนสายนี้เลยกะว่ามาexperience กับเรื่องการจัดแต่ว่าสอนผู้อะไรในสายแต่ว่าเป็นเอนจิเนียร์ไม่ได้
ถูกไหมอาจารย์สอนอะไรนั้นผมว่าอาจารย์จะต้อง recommend
มีครับ
แต่อาจจะไม่ได้เป็น
ผมก็ไม่ได้บอกว่า
แค่ว่าเราเคยทำมาแล้วประมาณนี้คุณอาจจะเป็นอย่างอื่นก็ได้ถ้ามันโอเค
นี่แบบเพราะว่าผมแบบสอน MIS เนาะแล้วผมทำ IT Experience เด็กเขาจะถามแบบโปรเจกต์1ที่อาจารย์ขึ้นมาประมาณเท่าไหร่บอกอยู่ที่500 ล้านคือของ SCG มัน500 ล้านเนี่ยก็คือบอกนัมเบอร์ไปแล้วถ้าบริษัทใหม่ให้มาขึ้นก็ประมาณเนี้ยนี่สิก็บวกลบไปดิตั้งแต่100 2 3 4แต่ไม่ใช่แบบ
แล้วแต่ไซส์
ล้านนึงมันทำไม่ได้เพราะซอฟต์แวร์ผมแพงอย่างว่ารู้แล้วว่านัมเบอร์มันต้องขึ้นบนเนี่ยก็คือมีใจนิดนึงมันนั่นไอ้ที่จดไปเนี่ยมันเป็นคำตอบที่ดีเลยฟังจากมันหมดแล้วอาจารย์นี่ผู้สอนต่อเลยถามอาจารย์ไปเนี่ยถูกว่าทำแบบเปิดช่องมา
มันก็ได้มุมมองอื่นของเขามันในเชิง finance หรือเทคนิคไป
เอาตัวหอม
ปกติของมอมีความที่จะก็
เยอะเลยแต่ส่วนใหญ่เพราะว่าไม่ถึง
ไม่ได้เป็นจังถ้าผมไม่ใช่ทำเยอะนะเพื่อนผมที่ทำเยอะสุดเป็นมหิดลเกษตรศาสตร์ลองคือบางท่านทำอย่างผมชอบถึงก็อยากทำอย่างเดียวไม่ค่อยอยากไปบริการใช้งาน
มันก็ต้องมี3-4 ภารกิจ
ไม่แต่บริการวิชาการก็จะทำเป็นแบบผู้ทรงส่วนมากก็จะเป็นผู้ทรงในคอนเฟอเรนซ์ที่เป็นนั่งแชร์ต้องไปตามอย่างเงี้ยเขาก็จะเชิญไปตลอดจะบอกไม่ให้ลงชุมชนแบบว่าจะสังคมที่แต่ไม่มีคนที่ลงชุมชนความเขียนมันก็ไม่ได้
สตาร์ทอัพได้เยอะนะ
สตาร์ทอัพเยอะเป็นเด็กซึ่งจริงๆเด็กก็เราก็ไกด์ในส่วนของเราลงไปทำอินดัสทรีคือเด็กไม่รู้อะไรมันสายจริงๆสมมติไปเลสแบบนั้นคุณได้คำตอบเรื่องนี้อีกนี่เป็นคำตอบแบบคือดีนะไม่ได้แบบแต่เด็กไม่ต้องการโอ๊ะมาแบบนี้เด็กด่าเลยเราไม่ตอบให้เลยตอบ
ของที่นี่
ใช่ไหมสมมติว่าจะหาเรื่องที่เขาพูดเขามีหลัก5 วันแต่ไม่จำเป็นว่าต้องไปถึงได้อยู่3 จบก็ได้แต่คือการว่าเนี่ยให้ไปถามว่าทำไมผลิตแบบนี้ทำไมคุณพอครบ5 แล้วน่าจะตายแล้วบางคนไป6ก็จริงแต่ไม่มี7 แล้วมันจะทำให้ไม่ได้โปรดักต์อย่างนี้พอทุกคนก็รู้พอเราไปไกด์เด็กเราบอกแล้วเขาจะถามว่าทำไมจะผลิตภัณฑ์นี้ออกมาให้ถามรีซอสที่จริงเพื่อไปหาว่าต้นตอเขาข้อมูลคืออะไรคือเขาไกด์คือแต่ตอนแรกเขาไม่ไกด์เขาถูกแบบอย่างเงี้ยว่าสุดท้ายเขาก็จะตอบบรีฟไปบรีฟจาก experience ถ้าแม่เก่งได้ของคุณสุดยอดระหว่างการเรียนแต่ถ้าไม่ experience
เขาเป็น consulting strategy เขาต้องแบบคือพอมันเป็นคำว่า strategy มันคือทุกอย่างเลยอ่ะ
แต่มันไกลได้
ไม่แต่คือผมเหมือนมองว่าเขาอะรู้ทุกอย่างเป็น strategy มันไม่ใช่แค่ financial strategy อย่างเดียวเขาเลยเขาเป็น consult มันก็ต้องรวมไปถึง marketing operation
เปิดความคนรู้ดีกว่าอยากรู้แต่ต้องการรู้ในข้อการที่แบบคือไกด์ไม่ได้ไกด์ว่าเขาช่วยไกด์เยอะหน่อยที่อันนี้
เขาทำไปเนี่ยก่อนเป็นเรา
น้อยเพราะเขาบอกว่าเขาไปเปิดคอนซัลท์เป็นภาษาสไตล์คอนซัลท์ต้องทำ
ตั้งแต่แรก
แต่เขาอาจจะโตขึ้นว่า
อาจจะเรียนมา
แล้วก็ไฟแนนซ์เป็นพาร์ทเล็กๆแล้วผมอาจจะโตระดับนี้น่าจะมีลูกน้องที่ไปจบต่อแต่ตัวเองเนี่ยมีครั้งใหญ่แน่นอนปกติที่มออาจารย์ให้สอนเป็นกี่คน
อาจารย์น้อยไฟแนนซ์มีอาจารย์อยู่5 คนคลาสหนึ่งเนี่ยเดี๋ยววันจันทร์นี้กลับไปเพิ่งเช็คเมื่อคืนลงทะเบียนมา
เอาเพิ่งเปิดเทอมเหรอ
เพิ่งเปิดได้2 อาทิตย์ไม่ได้สอนเลยไม่อาทิตย์แรกเปิดมาเป็นงานมหาลัยเขาก็ให้หยุดแล้วพออาทิตย์นี้ผมก็มานี่แล้วแบบมันเวลาประมาณ80
เยอะ
เมื่
อวานเจอไป90 ทุ่มป่ะสอนเสร็จปุ๊บนั่งเฉยๆ3 ทุ่มแล้วพนักงานก็ขอให้การดูขอกลับบ้านก่อนแล้วจะเลยการไม่ไหวแล้วแบบแต่ของอาจารย์นั่งสอนนะไฟแนนซ์
เด็กนั่งสอนเด็กก็
เมื่อวานเหมือนเดินสวนสนามเดินตั้งแต่
ยืนต้องถามต้องอะไรเงี้ย
3 ชั่วโมงติดแล้วสอนไปคุณเด็กมันเริ่มบ่นตอนสุดท้ายพอเลิกเอาการจะกลับมอแล้วติดงานบอกว่าเนี่ยเขาจะทำอะไรช่วย
ไปด้วยกันได้ใช่ไงเผื่อเด็กเรียนกับอาจารย์เนี่ยหรือเผื่ออาจารย์อยากเด็กเรียนกับเด็กก็ได้นะ
เอากสอน
มันเบรกไม่ยากไม่เบรกหรอคะอิ่ม
มีพี่เอสบอกว่าอกมีเปิดอะไรมาตอนนี้ส่ง
PS อ่ะจ้างเอาเด็กมาลงด่วนเลยตัวช็อปอาทิตย์หน้าเดี๋ยวเขาเปิดเองแพทเป็นคนดูเอง
ออกนี่ใช่ปุ๊บมันจะไปหรือเปล่า
แชร์บังคับมาได้เพราะว่าอยากได้เด็กบริหาร
แล้วมันต้องเป็นทีมเองการศึกษามันผสมถูกไหม
ศึกษาเลยเหรอป้าเปิดเรียนมาจะเปิดมีแบบ
อย่างนี้ทำอะไรคือก็อยากให้มันไปรวมกับ
ดูน่าจะเป็นหมู่ก้อนแหละเป็นหมู่ก้อนน้องแก๊สนี่คือใคร ก๊อกแก๊กลูกอัศจรรย์ลูกอัศจรรย์
อ๋อ
คนเล็กเหรอ
ใช่ค่ะ
เขาทำอะไรอยู่เขาตอนเขาจัดคอร์สเกี่ยวกับธุรกิจอย่างเงี้ยค่ะให้ผู้ประกอบการให้เด็กนักแกนเลยค่ะให้บอกโรงเรียนอินเตอร์
ได้เลยขอบคุณครับ
แนวในอินเตอร์
But it always helps to have somebody who's done it, who's got some experience,
ธุรกิจเกี่ยวกับวางแผนเรื่องการเปิดโรงเรียนอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
It's like if I want to get in shape, if I can get like a coach to kind of help me how to what kind of food to avoid, give me some advice. But do I need that person? No.
เขาเป็นกำเริบขึ้นมาไม่เป็นโรงเรียนด้วยกันเขาไม่น่าจะ
เขาอยากให้ไปแต่ผมไม่อยากไป
ไม่งั้นเขาก็ต้องข้อมูลที่เก่งๆแล้วก็ค่อนข้างมีไม่จะเกี่ยวกับจังหวัด
เรียนโทจบกลับมาหมดไฟในการเรียน
ตอนที่สมัยก็จะเหมือนที่บอกนี่ที่มันย้ายไปค่ะ
They don't know too many people that they can afford to pay anyone, so what they'll do is that they'll reach out to
ย้ายโต๊ะ
their personal networks, their fathers, friends, their former professors, somebody they kind of trust. Can you
คือมันเบื่อแล้วเราเองก็เบื่อแล้ว
แกเป็นผอหลักสูตร Nothing wrong with it มันก็เลยลงที่แกหมด unstructured relationship it always becomes like a favor like not a commitment I do it when I can if I'm too busy this week but maybe I'll try to go see next week it's not a commitment it becomes I try to help you if I can a lot of times they can't so it becomes so loose yeah it helps have good structures but yeah in the beginning a lot of startups just don't have the right connections don't have the money
ส่วนมากที่ทำได้ครับ
but what I see in Thailand is the case the investors the investor says I give you my money but I want to be part of your board of directors I want to be able to tell you what to do as part of the board right? So they kind of put that condition so okay, you want to do 10 million I give you 5 million but I want to be part of your board they put that condition on their if the person is good perfect but if the person turns out to be bad you took the money you don't want to tell you gotta kind of wait so you gotta nowadays look at the person's background ask around I see a lot of that in Thailand especially okay I give you the money you need but I want to be part of it they'll put that condition right up front and then I see a lot of startups kind of struggling ideally if that person is somebody you want on your board anyway oh man that's perfect right but in most cases it's the other way I need the money but I don't want the person on the board then you gotta decide and then you start can I raise money yeah
ทุกอย่างชมมา
but yeah it's a lot of
ดีมากไอเดียทุกอย่าง
no right
ไออยากได้เป็นไมเนอร์เชน
things you gotta
เอ็ก
just
ซ์เทนเป็นเมเจอร์
but if you got the wrong board
เมเจอร์เสร็จปุ๊บแล้วคอมเมนต์สั้นช่วยตอบคำถามทีว่าข้อมูล
if you got the wrong board it's like trying to make a wrong
เก็บเรื่อง
trip
resident
with a broken GPS
ปรากฏว่าที่เยอะที่สุดเป็นกลุ่ม
it's going to tell you inconsistent messages, wrong direction. If that board is a GPS, if that board is wrong, if that GPS machine is broken,
แม่งก็ไปกันทุกคนใจมันไม่มีใครเคยเช็ค
everybody is just frustrated walking circles. Okay, very good.
เพราะมันทำไม่ได้อาจารย์จะไปเก็บ20-30 200 คนอีกกลุ่ม200 เพราะไอ้เนี่ยที่เก็บ resident ก็คือมาจากตำบลนี้หนึ่งตำบลนี้ตำบลนี้แล้วคือกระจายตามแล้วจะเอาอายุคำถามเอาละปี70-30อย่างนั้นก็ไม่มีพิเศษว่าการศึกษาทุกคนแม่งจบเลย resident จบเลยอาชีพอะไรถูกว่าแบบเขาจะรู้ว่าแก้แต่เขาแก้ให้เวลา1 เดือนแม่งไอ้อินเตอร์เนาะเชฟของอินเตอร์มันบอกว่าอยากจะให้นี่คือพี่เชนนี่รีบส่งพี่สิมันเข้าเปิดอาจารย์ทุกท่านเดี๋ยว
ฮะ
ไม่เดี๋ยวจะมูฟโต๊ะแล้วก็ทุกคนก็จะมานั่งตรงกลาง
อ๋อทำเป็นห้องดูหนัง
ใช่อาจารย์ช่วย
เป็นเลเซอร์อะไรสักอย่าง
จะเป็น MC ไม่ได้เรียนไม่ได้ทำอะไรมูฟโต๊ะทั้งหมดเลยนะลูกด้านนี้ด้วยป่ะ
เราจะมุก
เอา
โต๊ะ
เขามุ้งกันเหรอโอเคอาจารย์เดี๋ยวจะได้เดี๋ยวไปไหนคะ
เอาไป
ไปไหนคะเอาไปไหน
My message right now
เอาไปไหนยกไปด้านนู้นเหรอหรือไปไหนไปไหนอะเอาแค่เก้าอี้นั่ง
เอา
กัน
แค่
ตรง
โต๊ะ
นี้
เอาแค่โต๊ะโต๊ะออกเก้าอี้ใช้เดี๋ยวขอชาแนลไปก็แล้วกันนะเอาไปก่อน
แล้วอาจารย์จะเอายังไง
ได้ครับได้ครับไม่เป็นไร
อาจารย์ไปดู
ได้ออกได้ครับเนี่ยครับ
โอเคค่ะ
กูน้ำผมด้วยเนี่ย
The exit strategy. So, as my boss, Michael likes to joke, my job is to wrap up. Yeah, put it in doggy bag. So I wanted to discuss how we might exit. So Ajahn Jung said exit strategy, and we look at exit strategy two ways. One is the exit strategy of a business, which should be in entrepreneurial finance. But because we're running a little bit closer to noon than I was planning, I'm going to skip to our exit strategy instead, meaning what I hope we do when we leave here. All right? Here's why. Let me show you a couple things. So the first thing that you did this morning is you learned about boards, right? How did you learn? This is the same question I've asked you every day. How did you learn? What was the process that we taught you about boards? What was the process we used in this course? It was only an hour ago, so please don't tell me you've forgotten. What was the process we did?
We had a group discussion.
Okay, what did you discuss?
Discuss about the equation that we were assigned.
Okay, where were you assigned those questions from? Okay.
After we begin the class, the next step, I think we need the board.
Do you?
I think that's like the next step.
Okay,
we have
good,
to
good.
do.
Okay.
So we have the board, we run the steps, now exit.
Okay, great. This exit is, before we get to this exit, let me stay with board just for a little bit longer, okay? How did we teach you about the board? How did I teach you about the board?
Especially related to the things that come together.
Where did the questions come from? The book, okay? So here's the thing. We don't need to compete with a book, right? So I went to MIT, and one thing, back then I was just a student, so I didn't really know about teaching. But we learned very, very quickly, at least at MIT, I don't know about anywhere else, but at MIT, the Ajahn wrote the book, forced you to buy the book, and every lecture was from the book. So after a while, after like 2 weeks, you realize you don't need to go to class because it's in the book, okay? So what's the Ajahn doing, right? We're wasting his time, he's wasting our time. Actually, he's not even writing another book, he's just writing the new edition, so you have to buy it. Okay? But he's still doing his lecture every week, and he's just lecturing what is in the book, okay? Ajahn Jung didn't lecture what was in the book. What did he do? He said, here are the questions from the book, work on it. right? So one of the main messages coming out of this program is please move from thinking that we deliver information to we're in some other role. We'll talk about what that role is now, okay? So same thing here. I could go through, and Ajahn Jung was very nice to put these questions in here, and we could do a project around exit strategy based on Randy's book, okay? But everything we've done is get an activity first, do an activity first, use the activity to learn about the necessary information, and never ever, or hardly ever, was the instructor delivering information. Because there are better sources of information than an instructor. The book is one. Google is another, right? I was happy to see yesterday a little bit of a success for me. When I asked a question, 3 or 4 people start to look on their phone for the answer. For an Ajahn to learn that quickly, that's great. Okay, because Ajahns are very slow learners. Okay, but that's the kind of environment you want. You want the students looking for the information they need. Okay, because we cannot compete as information suppliers. Okay, the IT world does a much better job than us. So we have to have a different role, and I want to talk about what that role is in the last section that we have today. Okay? So I'm going to skip through these slides. You can imagine by now how we would have taught this. Okay? But I want to talk more about not the exit strategy of the company, but the exit strategy of you. Okay? Not from life, but from this course. Okay? All right. So let's talk about how we might go out of this program, hopefully working together. Okay? All right. So I'm going to skip through this. So how about our exit strategy? So first of all, I want to be very clear what you get from this program. So this workshop was not to teach you about content. We did some content, but as I've been emphasizing, our goal was not to teach you about content. By being in this program, you're going to get a huge amount of content. You're going to get a full curriculum in Thai. So I've designed the curriculum with Ajahn Jung and Ajahn Thung. It's all going to be done in Thai. It's a full term curriculum. It has all the slides. I don't mean these slides. It has all the slides you could use for an entire term for all the different topics that are in a traditional entrepreneurial finance course. By the way, if you have any questions on that content, feel free to contact us. Okay? But our goal in these very short 3.5 days is not to teach you that content, but to really do a workshop on how we might teach entrepreneurial finance, as well as a lot of other courses for those of you who worked with us before. Okay? So this is the stuff. You're going to get a curriculum, you're going to get the book, you got the book, you're going to get the videos, you're going to get cases that we didn't even use here. So we've got recommended cases for the whole curriculum. You're going to get all that stuff separately over the next month or something. I'll send it to you. Okay? So I really want to be very, very clear. It was never our goal to deliver content in this workshop. Okay? But feel free to ask us any questions about content that you have when you receive that. Okay? I hope it's valuable for you. Feel free to modify it any way you want to make it useful. Okay? So that's that. And of course, another deliverable is you get this workshop. Okay? But this workshop for us is different than the other things that you're going to receive. And hopefully it was fun and you have some good memories. Okay. So I want to give you my KPI. Not about this workshop really, but this is my #1 KPI that I've given myself for entrepreneurial development. Okay? This is my #1 KPI. Basically, to help this person see different, empower him or her to think big, and then push him or her to act small until they succeed. That's my KPI. KPI #1. I also have a KPI #2, and that's to convince as many of you guys to do KPI #1. All right? Now I think you'll realize if you understand what I just said, not the language, but the meaning behind it, this is not an easy KPI. But it's a very, very important KPI. All right? I once knew a very famous entrepreneurship instructor, maybe one of the first instructors in entrepreneurship, a guy named Jeffrey Timmons. That name ring a bell to anyone? Jeffrey Timmons from Babson. He's the one who really got entrepreneurship going as a separate discipline. And I went and visited him once at Babson, and he said, our goal is not to pull people along. Our goal is to go as far with anybody as they want to go on their own. And that's really the key here is, to help this person go as far as they're willing to go. And it really is a person. It's not 1 million people or 100,000 people or 20 people. It's one person at a time. Okay? And unfortunately, for all of us, this is forgotten in every one of our organizations. Unfortunately. Okay, so try to adopt this as your own personal KPI, even though no organization will allow you to follow this KPI. I know that well. So with that in mind, what does it mean to be an entrepreneurial educator? So some of you have been with me several times now. Some of you with even at least one of you was in a completely different workshop with me yesterday when I wasn't here. She and I were there. Okay. And you'll hear this message over and over and over. For entrepreneurship to be valuable, we don't need more entrepreneurs. We need more entrepreneurial everything. First day that we were in this workshop together, I showed you some videos of the very earliest venture capitalists. Why did I show you those videos? Remember those videos? That was a long time ago. Monday, I think. Why did I show you those videos? Remember those videos? Arthur Rock and those guys? Why did I show you those videos? Not only the mindset of entrepreneur, because those videos were about those guys as investors. So I wanted everyone to recognize that investors need to be entrepreneurial. Okay? And as we were talking about yesterday, the government is nothing. People in the government, right? It's always about people. People in the government need to be more entrepreneurial. Researchers need to be more entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurs, of course, need to be more entrepreneurial, but also us educators can and need to be more entrepreneurial. So that's what we want to wrap up with today. Many of you may have heard me say it before. I'll say it 1,000 more times if we work together. Entrepreneurship is not about starting a company. Although one output of entrepreneurship might be a startup. But entrepreneurship is this mindset. A person who brings together things in a new way. Okay? And that means us can do that very, very well without ever getting involved with starting a company. We can do it in our jobs, in our laboratories, in our organizations. Okay? So, the first question we might ask ourselves is how? And the answer is simple. Okay? We have to have this entrepreneurial mindset. The same mindset that we saw in these videos with those investors. I believe we can approach our teaching. Okay? I believe we can do the same thing. I've had conversations with many of you one-on-one or one in small group for some examples about that. We try to demonstrate it in this workshop. Please continue to contact us and me directly anytime you have any questions about doing this. Okay? But I really believe that how is simply trying to approach everything we do. Every time we teach, every time we step into a classroom, more importantly for my friends from Hi-Yi, every time we set people out of the classroom, approach it from an entrepreneurial point of view, even if we're being called Naja. Okay? That's the how. If this isn't clear, today, next week, next year, whenever, contact me and let's continue to discuss. But there's another question is the what. All right? And so a lot of what I talk about for the next 30 or 45 minutes is the what. By the way, The reason I brought you close like this is to talk. Okay, so I don't mean this to be a one-way discussion. Raise your hand if I'm saying something that upsets you or makes you wonder how would I ever do that or whatever. Let's feel free to be very interactive here. So any questions or comments, jump in. That's the reason we pulled everyone together here. Okay, so let's talk about the what. The reason I put this what question here is back to curriculum. You know, like I said, our goal this 3.5 days wasn't to teach you ROI, how to do a venture calculation, how to value a company, how to look at an IPO. I could have. I teach entrepreneurial finance, but that wasn't our goal. So what are you going to teach? Well, whatever you want. And I don't mean that as a joke. I mean, the first part of being entrepreneurial is to think to ourselves, what should we be teaching? Okay? Do not teach the stuff in the curriculum that we send you just because it's in the curriculum we send you. I mean, look at it, say, this doesn't work in my community, or this doesn't work with the people I work with. Okay? So ultimately, we all make this decision. We shouldn't be doing it because anybody else tells us, whether that's Ed or MIT or Stanford or whoever, okay? We really want to be figuring out what we want to be teaching and what's important to our community. Okay, so this was a slide I put up on the first day. I think we skipped through it pretty quickly, but it was right up there at the beginning, and I want to make sure that we kind of go through it again to wrap up this mindset side of things, okay? But one of our main topics that we're trying to emphasize is entrepreneurial finance is different than other finance, big company finance, corporate finance, okay? We talked about this a lot. There's a group, like I said, a couple of us stayed late the first day, and we talked about this a little bit more yesterday in the pitching. You know, in some ways, anything entrepreneurial, startup, new program, new course, new project, new anything, is talking about something that doesn't exist, right? We're talking about the future. So it's much more of a marketing. I want to be careful with the word marketing. I'm not talking about selling shampoo. I'm talking about persuading somebody to buy into a future, a vision, okay? Communicating. Those are the real roles of marketing. It's really more selling a vision of the future than it is doing financial calculations. The reason we do financial calculations in entrepreneurial finance is because, why do we do financial calculations, even if this stuff is all made up, even if it's for marketing? Why do we do financial calculations in entrepreneurial finance, do you think?
Support the idea.
Support idea. What does that mean?
Support. So the investor want to see the number.
Okay. The audience, remember question 0 from Linda? Who's the audience? Well, in that case, the audience is an investor. That's the language they speak in. Okay? That's it. That's the reason we put it in financial numbers. Because in that case, our audience wants to hear numbers. Okay? The numbers are all made up. They know it, and we know it. Okay? The discussion is more about assumptions. But nonetheless, that's the language they want to speak in. That's the reason we do it. Okay? So that was Linda's first question. Who's your audience? You need to know how to communicate with your audience. Similarly, if we're talking to researchers, we need to use slightly different language. Right? If we're talking to kids, we need to use slightly different language. If we're talking to guys, we have to use slightly different language. Okay? So we have to know our audience. And in this case, in entrepreneurial finance, many times the audience is a financial person who wants to see numbers. Okay? But don't forget, we're still selling a vision. And entrepreneurial finance, similar to corporate finance, once a business gets running, once a project gets running, it can be used as a way of measuring progress. Okay? So these are the things that we kind of our background goals about entrepreneurial finance. As I said, you're going to get a full-term curriculum. When you get that curriculum, if you don't know, if you can't figure out how that curriculum leads from this, call me. Send me an email and we'll discuss it. Okay? But I just hope we have this this is our foundation behind everything in entrepreneurial finance. Any questions on that? Is that pretty straightforward, or any thoughts? So then next, the other goal, and this was the very second slide in the presentation on the first day, okay, is that we also kind of wanted to demonstrate a way of teaching. Maybe a lot of you have this kind of experience already. Maybe for others it was kind of new. Okay, but we wanted to demonstrate what might be called activity-based teaching. But we saw it even this morning, right? Start with an activity. When you wrap up, okay, you can wrap up with a theoretical framework, some slides, something like that. But by starting with that activity, it gets people asking questions. Okay? It moves them into an active learning role rather than passively just kind of downloading information. Okay? And these four things are the things that I say all the time, or I feel all the time, anytime I'm in a classroom. So exploratory. Those of you who are in design thinking know this is my favorite word. Okay, the most valuable thing I think any person can get better at is exploring. Okay, open-ended. I mean, those two go together. If we're going to explore, we don't know what we're going to find. Okay. Student-centered. Okay, if we're talking about a university situation, let's build stuff around the student as our goal. So if many times this person is the student, okay? Okay, and the other thing, I know this is a popular topic in Thailand, and that's why I'm afraid to put it up there, but really, let's just take ourselves out of the job of sending information, because quite frankly, it's not worth our time, and it's not worth the students' time to do the information part. So let's work on other things with our students that really are valuable to us and to them. And let's just force them to do this stuff on their own. Okay, I can force you. But we do this all the time in our classes. I'll be happy to talk in detail specifically how we do that. But really, if I find myself just repeating the information that's in a book or an article, I feel like I'm failing as a teacher. Okay, so this was not on the slide the first day, but I wanted to throw in some words that I like to use a lot kind of in conclusion. So some of you have heard me use the word probe before. What do we mean by probe? Look at that long look. What does probe mean? We asked this in design thinking, so you design thinking people should know this answer. What was probe? Probability? Check. Check. No medical device people. Probes are common in medical devices. You detect something, okay? But can you do that? What did you just do? No, you say that again and do the same action you just did. No, because this is what people always do when they do. Do it again. Do you remember what you did? You did it now? You detect something, right? So this idea of probe is kind of like probe, all right? What that means is probe is probe, exactly. Yeah, probe is probe, okay? What this means is we're detecting, okay? We're testing something in a small way. So when you go to test something in the body, it needs to be a probe because you don't want to kill the person in order to learn what made them sick, right? So probes are small. Same here. We were talking the other day, yesterday with the gang from Songkhla. They're students outside. Okay, maybe. We want to have things that stretch people a little bit, but don't kill them. All right. So we want to push people. So when we explore, we probe first. We don't send them into a dangerous thing. You send them in places where they're probing and learning things, but not jumping in and emerging. So probe is a great way to explore. Small tests. Experience things through action. We've done a lot in this room. if you're in design thinking, you do that outside the room as well. No right answer, okay? As we've been emphasizing, Google has more information than us. So let's view our role more as a coach, okay? You know what a coach is, right? Anybody know football? Right? What's the coach doing in football?
We tell the player to do something.
Okay.
They do that.
Okay. Let's talk about what the coach is not doing. The coach is not on the field. Right? The coach is not kicking the ball. The coach is not in the goal. The coach is maybe telling them what to do, but more likely trying to influence them so that they do a better job. Okay? I try to imagine our role as entrepreneurial educators as being in a role where we're trying to help the students do more than they could have done without us. Okay? But I don't think we're quite telling what to do because I don't know what you were like as a student, but when I was a student and a little kid and a big kid, and even right now, when somebody tells me to do something, exactly, I don't do it. Exactly. Right? So you have to find other ways, especially students, but you know, for those of us who never grew out of that, we have to find other ways to make it valuable for them. If you say you have to study this accounting, that's the best way I know to not teach accounting. Right? Or anything else. Okay? So that's what we mean by coaching. It's sometimes inspiring, sometimes begging, sometimes telling. Okay? But I really see us more in a coaching role rather than at least traditionally teaching. Okay? So whatever works for you, but maybe consider this as you think through your role. Okay? So we talked about the how, entrepreneurial mindset, the what, whatever you want. Okay? You make the active role what you think is valuable. There's another, we can take this further. As you grow a community, which is one of my big messages all the time, it also becomes whatever they want. But in fact, that's not the right word. It's whatever they need. Because we know with a lot of people, including students, what they want and what they need are not necessarily the same thing. So again, as a coach, we have the opportunity to help them understand what they need, not just what they want. All right? And so, who are we talking about here? Okay, well obviously students is one group, but we'll go beyond that. Let me talk about the who, and this is new for the design thinking as well. But this is, if any of us are going to work in innovation, this next message is a fairly important message because we can't help everybody. We can't help everybody. And that's why my KPI is one person at a time. All right? Here's what I mean by that. Did we talk? I don't think we did this in design thinking. What curve is this? Oh, that's right up there. You guys are great students. Normal distribution. What does a normal distribution show? What does it show? Huh? It's uncomplicated. So there's actually an even easier answer, which I think. Okay. If it was the nature, I think we would call it the nature distribution. But we call it the normal distribution. So what does it show? What is normal? All right, don't think too much, right? It shows what is normal. Right? Where is normal? Right? The reason we call this a normal distribution is because it essentially shows where normal is. Well, if we're interested in encouraging innovation, we don't want normal. And exactly, we want the extremes, okay? So this is one extreme, maybe. This is the people who are really, really willing to try something new or weird. And this is the group that's really, really unwilling to do anything. All right? Those are the people we want to work with. Okay? We can't work with normal, at least not at the beginning. So the second thing I'm going to suggest to you, when you go out and do stuff, when you go out and take your first steps in whatever you are in this area, don't go out and think you're going to fix 1,000 people or, this is why. Find one. Find that one person who either is really, really willing to try, or sometimes it's interesting to work at this end. But the normal person, as soon as you tell them to do something, they're going to look at their friends. If their friends aren't doing it, they're not going to do it, right?
I have a question.
Please.
How can you work with this person, the person that you're not trying to do anything?
Great question. Great question. How are you going to do that? How are you going to work with that person? The person who's not willing to do anything. Okay, you put them in the group. What are you going to do? I actually think this is a great opportunity. How would you work with this person? The person's not willing to do anything.
There must be specific method to deal with them.
Yeah, you. So what's interesting about this group, and it's a great question, we should spend a lot more time on it, but what's interesting about this group is you're not necessarily trying to change that person, you're trying to find out why they're completely unwilling to try. Okay? And if you can find out why they're completely unwilling to try, it leads to insights that can move them this way. Okay? So it's very, very important to understand our expectations. When we talk to this person, it doesn't mean that we're going to succeed with that person, but we're going to understand the reasons why they're afraid to try. Now, one reason maybe they just don't see the value. Okay, so we try to show them the value in different ways, and we can tell them, but we've already agreed that telling people doesn't work. So maybe we show them, maybe we do a whole bunch of things. But this is an interesting case because it's an extreme. So we spend time with them. We explore their situation, find out why they're unwilling to try. Okay? So it leads to insights. By the way, one of the challenges of innovation, like I said, you never really know what's going to come out of it. There's no guarantee of success. That's what's annoying about it, but that's also what's fun about it. Okay? So it's just a good source of potential insights. But I can't guarantee that that person is going to lead to.
And why normal people is not interesting. It's not interesting.
These are the least interesting people because they're normal. That's the reason. Now that sounds silly, but these guys make. How does a normal person make their decision? I know we don't know because we're not normal. How does a normal person make their decision? They look around. They follow. Okay. And in fact, if you look at the theory of this, if there's any of you who study management of innovation or something like that, there are innovators and there are imitators. And literally, this group does because they see other people doing it. Okay, and that's why many marketing programs are run the way they are for the mass market. They're built around humiliation. Oh, I'm going to stand out if I don't use this product. I'm going to be embarrassed if I don't use this product. I'm going to whatever, right? A lot of marketing is built around the fear of not being normal. Okay, so that's why this is the biggest challenge. You not only have to change that person, you have to change everyone around them. Okay. So if you got into the theory of the innovation, we can talk about it at different times. We start here and you go that way. So you start with a small number and then a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And that's my message to all of us. Some of you have heard this already. Just start with one. Okay? This is the that game, right? You know, because they're talking about they want to run a design thinking thing and they don't know how to get it started. I said, well, just find a small group of people who are willing to try. Don't try to change the university. Just find a small number of willing to try and learn from it, add a few more, and then grow. And then after lots of people start to like it, it grows quite fast. And it grows exponentially. But you need to find that first group. Okay. So if we're trying to build a new product, we often start here. If we're trying to open a market, we start here. We would not start here. But this is a great place to explore because we can find why people are either they don't see the problem, they don't see the solution, they don't understand. This is a source of insight, but it's definitely not the best place to start launching a product. So this is kind of how I sort of view the world, based on what we just said. There's going to be some small number of people who want to try something. Okay? And this is everyone. Students. There's going to be a small number of students who are willing to try something. There's a big number that are only going to do it if their friends are doing it, if it's on Facebook, if it's cool or whatever. Ajahn, same way. Most Ajahns are are worried about whether they're doing the right way, and oh my God, is my dean going to yell at me that I did the wrong way, and all this kind of stuff. Okay, and even puyai. Believe it or not, there is a small number of puyai who are innovative. Okay, and you got to find those people who are willing and interested to try something new, and they're down in here. The reason I emphasize this, it is a small number of people. Okay? Our challenge, if we're trying to make change, is the majority of people around us are not seeing what we see. That's true for any innovator. Okay? So just because you can see it, just because the people around you can't, doesn't mean it's not important. Okay? And there's one other group here. This group can be very helpful. They may not quite get it, but they have a feeling you're on the right track. But this is the one you want to do your first experiments with. So if you're going to try something weird, okay, like the design thinking workshop in Hot Guy, just grab a small number of friends and test it at all levels. Not just students, but some students, some ajahns, some management, some staff, whatever, and just see what happens. Okay, that's what we're talking about, right? Just try it. And do not, I have it on the next slide. Don't worry about quantity. When you are at that initial early stage, do not measure yourself on quantity. Remember my KPI? One person. One person. All right? But don't worry about the quantity. And try to find different types of people. Like if we're in a university setting, don't think it only has to be students, or don't think it only has to be ajahns. Bring them together. There are ajahns who are willing to try something new, there's students who are willing to try something new, there's staff willing to try something new, and usually they're happy to be working together with each other. They're not as worried about the organization. That's another great thing about these guys. I hope that you guys do, we don't care about the organization that much. We don't not care, but the organization's there to help us or whatever, but we're not going to be locked because of the organization. All right. Okay. So in here, I'm going to show you this in a more formal way in a minute. But I'm going to ask you guys to choose. So first of all, take the biggest step as you want. So if you're teaching entrepreneurial finance next term, use the whole curriculum, jump in, feel free to ask any questions, great. But if you're feeling a little bit not sure, not about the topic, but about this teaching method, choose a single activity. I was talking to the people in the design thinking the same way. Choose just one activity from design thinking or from here that you liked, that you thought was kind of fun. Get that gang of people, small gang, don't worry about the number. Just bring them together and say to them, hey, I'm going to run this activity, I want to see what you guys think. After you run the activity, what do? You run the activity, you choose one activity from here, you bring them together, you run the activity, then what do? How do you discuss? I like, I wish, right? I like, I wish is a good way to frame the discussion, okay? Get some discussions. Take that feedback, all right? Don't worry about the outcome. Just be part of the whole process and enjoy the process, okay? Learn what you can do to make it better. We do the I like, I wish, but actually the I likes are not important. The I wishes are the important ones, okay? So if you really want to get better, try to convince your friends. Say, if you're really a friend of mine, you will do more I wishes and not so many I likes, okay? Because it's kind of like the board. If they just agree with everything we do, we didn't need to bring them, right? So try to find some I wishes. Try to get them to say, hey, what would you really do different? What did you not like? Or what would you wish was a little bit better? Okay. Learn what you can do to make it get better. Number 7, very important step. Would you come back and do it again? Ask everyone. Would you come back and do it again? Great, let's set a date. Seriously, let's set a date next month. Okay, let's set a date. I'm going to try another activity next month. You want to come back? Great. Here's the date. And what's the next step after that? Run it again. And just keep doing it over and over and over. Okay? And the do it one activity and then maybe do that same activity again because it didn't work as well as expected. Do it 3 times. But after you're feeling good about that activity, add a second activity, add a third activity. After a while, you'll be running this entire workshop. After a while, you'll be doing this whole workshop and the design thinking workshop. After a while, you'll be doing this workshop, the design thinking workshop, the step 0 workshop. You'll be doing your own workshops by whatever you think is important and just keep doing it over and over and over.
To join this activity, it should be mandatory or just voluntary?
Ask our friends. Don't ask me, ask our friends.
ผมto join the activity คือผมอยากรู้ว่าอย่างการคือวัฒนธรรมไทยอ่ะมันจะมีปัญหาว่าตอนมีกิจกรรมมีอะไรเนี่ยตอนแรกนะวันแรกมา10 คนรอบ2มาเหลือ2 คนรอบ3มาไอตัวเราก็ผมก็ไม่มาเหมือนกันอย่างเงี้ยก็คือมันควรจะเป็นระดับ mandatory หรือว่าเป็น voluntary ก็คือตามถ้าตามความสมัครใจคนหายแน่นอนนะครับเราคิดว่าไง
มันเหมือนงานนี้ครับเรามาแล้วได้อะไรเขาจะมาเรื่อยๆเขาจะมาเพิ่มที่จะบอกต่อไอ้คนนี้มาคนนี้มามันขึ้นอยู่กับกิจกรรมที่เราทำแล้วมันเกิดประโยชน์อะไร
So here's one thing. If you make it mandatory, how do you know you've done anything valuable? Right? If they're forced to come, how do you know it's valuable? If they don't come back, do you know if it's valuable? Very clear it's not valuable. So you have some options. If you start with 10 and you get 2, you have a couple of options. What do you need to do?
Stop or run.
Okay, one option is to stop. I agree, that's always an option. Stop. What's another option?
Find another group of people.
Exactly. So let's keep this in mind. Maybe we didn't get the right group of people. Okay, find another group of people. What's something else we could do?
We adjust the activity.
We adjust the activity until it's better. Okay? Actually, you all can answer yourself. We all can answer ourselves, right? Listen, every class I run is just like this. I don't think I've ever answered a question since I started teaching. In fact, one year, I was friends with some of our coaches. Actually, you know that some of you know this woman. Some of you work with this woman, but I won't tell you who she is. She graduated from my program. Oh, that's going to narrow it down now. She graduated from my program, and on the day she graduated, she said, "Ajay, can we get our picture now?" She says, "Thank you, because I want to tell you I hate you as an Ajay." I said, "You hate me as an Ajay?" I mean, I feel kind of good inside. And I said, "Why?" And she said, "In 2 years, you never answered one of my questions." Okay? But this is, we don't need to be providing answers. We can encourage all of us to be finding answers. So, and by the way, when he answered actually 2 important questions. He answered how to improve his activity. He also answered the entrepreneurial process. Because what I'm describing is a new product process. Not only did you just answer what you need to do, you answered what an entrepreneur needs to do. Entrepreneur tries something, goes out. First question, when I go out to test with a customer, should I force the customer?
No.
Why not?
Because they are customers.
That's not why. Why should we not force the customer? Because we don't know if they really want it or not. Okay, great. Now we're not forcing the customer. Customer doesn't buy. What should we do? One thing.
Change product.
Or let's stick with your first answer. Stop. Right. We give up. We stop. What's the second thing we could do? We find another customer. Now, third.
New product.
No, just the product. Okay. My point here is, this interaction not only was an interaction about how to be an entrepreneurial educator, it was an interaction on how to be an entrepreneur. Okay? So that's the important part here. We can always stop, and we can try something else. And by the way, this is one of the problems with entrepreneurship in Thailand as well, is the way it's set up right now. We've set up so many prizes and competitions and stuff. There's no way to stop. It just keeps going on, even though it's clear to everybody it's not working. But it just keeps going on, because as soon as there's a success, that university keeps giving them more money, because now it's a success, it's a PR success, so we give more money, and it keeps on going, and that's a problem. But one option is always to stop. Second option, if the first person you talk to doesn't like it, whether it's a teaching course or a new product, you can talk to another person. Or you can adjust your product, whether the product is a teaching course or a physical product, and see if that's better. That is the entrepreneurial process. Okay? We can use it as faculty. Okay. So there's no point forcing. And this is why this is the other reason I try not to have Puyai involved. Okay? Actually, I like Puyai, to be honest. But when they're involved, that's their first inclinations. I will force people to be there. Well, great. We filled the room. We filled the room, but we didn't move forward, okay? And we have to recognize that if we're really going to make changes, the goal is not to fill the room, okay? I think everyone knows we can fill any room in Thailand, right? That we wanted to for an event. That's not our, that should not be our measurement of success, okay? It should be how far that person can go forward because of our help. Alright, that's the measure of success. Okay, so that's all. Alright, and then just keep doing it. And the more you build that into your, by the way, I mean, I feel like I live life this way. So this isn't something just to do once or do for a course. I mean, just kind of build it into your operating plan. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes. For your experience, what difficulty between teaching entrepreneurship for Foreign students and Thai students?
None. Same. Yeah. I don't. I'm not sure if your memory is working because you keep forgetting things I say to you. This is the way I look at the world. I don't look at it as Farang and Thai. I definitely don't look at it as rich and not rich, or beautiful and not beautiful. The stuff I like to do is involved with entrepreneurship and innovation. And in the entrepreneur and innovation world, that's the way the world looks. There are farmers in Isan who are here, and there are farmers in Isan who will not do anything until everyone in the community is already doing it. There are researchers at some places, okay, who are here, who are really willing to try something new, and there are researchers who are going to follow the formula. Publish, do this, okay? Every group of people is distributed like this, and I like to find these people, okay? Every level of society, okay? Not Farang or Thai, I know plenty of Farang who are here. So I graduated from MIT, which is kind of famous for entrepreneurship. My gang, 3 of us started a company, a gang of about 30 people. Okay. In fact, my other friend and I, we joke all the time. We were 2 of 30. Okay. So it's not like everyone at MIT is starting a company. Most people go off and become engineers for big companies. Okay. So just look for these people. By the way, they're more fun. These people are boring. Okay. More fun. Okay. So that's the world I live in. And it has nothing to do with nationality. Okay? There are people here and there are people there, and those are the fun people. Okay? So some of you see this, and I want to invite all of you to be part of this, because if some of this makes sense, there's one thing I know we can all agree on, that is it has to be done over and over and over. It can't happen in one day or one workshop. You know, it has to be done over and over, and it's not easy to do all over and over. As I've already said, there's a lot of forces against all of us. Our organizations are against us. You know, inertia is against us. Time is against us. Money is against us. So what we're trying to do is build a platform, and we've got several organizations working with us. You're all invited to join, so that we can keep doing the same things over and over and over. You choose the context for your community, but we join together in the same activities. So it allows us to reinforce and continue to learn. Okay? So we call that the IDE network. Okay? And it really is to empower innovators. So, if we look at these two people, this person is often viewed as well, in this case, it's IT, but yeah. But I mean, this person is viewed as the expert, the knowledgeable one, the educated one. But in fact, this person probably has more knowledge. In farming? Not in farming, in life. Because farming involves everything, whereas this actually is a very narrow area, okay? But this person is successful because they live within a system which rewards this. And the unfortunate thing for this guy, he doesn't live in a system. And this is the problem. So same with innovation, we're trying to view this as a system that we can kind of rely on each other. Because I know the pressure. You could, okay, first of all, you guys can look at me as a Parang like he does and say, Parang are different than Thai, okay? Or, you could say, he's an engineer, so he's willing to do this stuff, or he went to MIT or whatever. But I'll tell you, even among Parang, even among engineers, even among MIT engineers, to me, a lot of them are just happy to do that. They're not willing to take the uncertainty that this kind of stuff requires, okay? So if you're interested in this, if you're interested in this message that you've heard the last couple of days and you're here now, it's better we band together, okay? Because it's not easy. I enjoy this, and even I can say it's not easy. So I can imagine what it would be like for somebody who comes from a more traditional background trying to push back against, I love pushing against an organization, and I still get frustrated. So for somebody who doesn't enjoy that, I can imagine it's even more frustrating, okay? So the best way is that we try to do it together. Now that doesn't mean we're going to teach the same stuff, do the same projects. We're going to find the projects that work in our communities, but we're going to come together to do the same sets of activities, okay? So let me show you some examples. Yeah. This network becomes a platform, okay? The platform is built up of programs, and some of you have been to some of them. Actually, I don't count this as the program. The main program I'm going to show you in a minute, okay? And then we have partnerships. Now, some of our partnerships are international. We have some fancy partnerships. But the most important partnerships are the ones in the room here, okay? So let's take a look. So if you can imagine a network as a platform, this is why we do boot camps all over the country to collect people to join this. And for example, my favorite story so far today, we've been working on this for about 2 years since I moved to UTCC. And we did a boot camp in Gachinaburi, and we always, their guys are always students, members of students. And I'm always trying to say, my students, they leave, right? Teach them and they go on. So we try to work with people who stay in the community, an Ajahn, a researcher, or people in the community. And so we always negotiate to get a big chunk of students. But we managed to get some people in the community. And at this one boot camp last year, there was a woman who came, she's an organic farmer, very small scale organic farmer, some little Ampur in Gachinaburi. I don't even know how we found her. At the end of this boot camp, just kind of like this, she's surrounded by Ajahns and other ISO people. And at the end, she comes up to me and says, well, I don't understand a thing, but I feel this is important. What can I do to move forward to join this? And we follow her, and we're working in the community. And that's all it takes. So join her and me and the rest of us in doing exactly that kind of thing if you find this message interesting and valuable, okay? So this is kind of how we lay out our activities. Now, this is my own internal document, so I apologize, it's not that pretty. I should make it more pretty maybe, but this is the way I think, all right? And so this is exactly what we do, and by the way, This is what you and I were talking about yesterday. And this is essentially what I was telling the people from Hatyai. Okay? Go to some activity like this. Choose one thing that you thought was useful and try to do it. Contact us for advice, but we're not going to do it for you. It's not because I don't want to come to your place. I love traveling around Thailand. But what have we been learning? The best way to learn anything is to do it, okay? So feel free to ask us any amount of information, but do it, okay? Do that first activity, no matter how small it is, even if it goes from 10 to 2 people, okay? And then, after it's done, come back and talk to us again, or call us or whatever. It doesn't have to be in person. And then do it again, and keep on going until you're running an entire boot camp of activities in your community, whatever you call boot camp. And keep on going until we work with you to set up a strategy, okay? But don't worry too much about the far end. Just choose some activities to get going, okay? We just do it over and over and over. And by the way, while you're doing that, you're also developing your own people, okay? You're developing yourself, you're developing your team, you're developing all those participants, and those people will come back and reinforce, because it reinforces the system, okay? So this is what I want you guys to do, all right? Do that design thinking bootcamp, just do one activity, okay? Don't even go for 10, go for 8 people, all right? Okay? That way only 6 people don't come up the next time, right? All right? And see what happens, and then do it again. And do it again, and then try another activity, And by the way, after a while, you don't even need our activities. You'll be finding other activities on the internet. You'll be building whatever you want to build, okay? But if, I guarantee you, anyone tries this, it will take off, okay? All right. This is what we do in at UTCC. We'll be happy to talk to you about students a term, 2,000 students, 30 to go 2,000, and we're trying to on at this, okay? Those ones are really nice people. They want to do run the picture in the 30. Valerie?
Yes.
Do you know any companies that came out? You don't need a million small number of successes. So once you move, we do the training, and that allows say every student who comes IDE, but that come here. Calculation, that's pretty good.
You are telling us to try to buy the big
Gets you a win. Prize that you get. That's what innovation is. Any economist, wasn't there? That's the economist. Where'd she go? Okay. You know, this is what Pareto of 80-20. We're looking for the small number. By the way, this is not based. This is based on anyone out. We do the next year grade. We don't say, oh, your grades aren't. We don't say anything. But they sell 1,900. Just okay. We do this. Folktale, but we learn it as a little bit. You know, the 3 bears, you know the story of Thailand, better analogy, but we challenge, okay? Bears, okay? Same thing with challenge. You want to give people them, so it doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to be no challenge, it's just right. Design. So, need to learn as try to do this. Get it right the first time, or the 10th time. Just try to, it's too easy. People in Hatyai, it was too easy, okay? And just not only are the students, okay? You'll see some of our students are back, and they be, okay? As you know, the best way to do it, okay? So, more like coming back to be coached. From the University of Washington. The University of Washington has a computer program course, undergraduate, junior, not taught by, okay? With a professor, and brought in a higher level computer, and not just to learn about computer science, but students are tough, so they put teaching as, and how the course runs. So you are taught by a graduate student, you're taught, okay? Now, from a pressure point of view, when you're 18 years old, somebody 20 thinks, right? 2 years is 1 year in head or 2 years on pressure, and level students pretty much. So there's 3 groups still, but don't think that there's getting better, and then there's this. Okay, we're 2 years. It turns out, but don't wait for me. Okay, or try something like work on it together. We'll share ideas. That's what we do in the course. This is what we partners all encourage. We call these instead of the mindset. Okay, that's the boot camp. And then here we run our accelerator teams. You're all welcome to put teams. Like everything I said, put a team coach in that program of your team, and you understand all of these. Okay, and then event in February, which I'm going to do already. Okay, so we've done something like this for about 15. This has always been my goal. Somebody was asked there. My goal is so it's not open to the public. People that I meet here. Now, why? I'm sick of doing workshops. Okay, I'm working with you, but I would enjoy if we work. These one take a lot of time, and we don't. As we build, we become the boot camps. We want putting teams in the accelerator or coaches, and we want to come into the symposium. Now we do the public just because we like to have the public, but this is a platform that seeing each other and growing. Okay, and then. These are some of ours, but you are the that are most important. Okay, we do some work with you, so that's you're free tomorrow at MIT over at the Wochang Heritage Institute, but very close to them. So it's called the Challenge. So that the winning teams, so they're all welcome to join that starting tomorrow at. Send you a link. Okay, you're a good student. some speakers and stuff more about that. So Explore Forever Boot Camp. Here, that's really the foundation kind of stuff. So we did. This is in Prague. We do these. Some of the people yesterday to survive. They actually know to do more outside of Bangkok, smaller provinces and stuff all around, and they're not just from. That's what I did with entrepreneurship people. Later, start follow what's called. Anybody know anyone from MIT who's in Thai? To it, help improve it. Because it uses all of the MIT, great from Boston to Thailand. We have access to what so far we really need is what's going on around Thailand. Use this, thinking about some weird technology, reading about other. So that's the other thing. If you collaborate, we access us as well. We get some money. A little bit of which kind of captures some of our. This is Randy's head, by the way, his head. He was the judge last issue to him. I think I'll be in San Francisco next week, maybe to see us. And you're all invited to that book. Okay. Competition. So we try not to find kind of famous, but in general, famous people because the same speech that they get. So just watch it on YouTube. Jack Ma, contact me and say, can you invite Jack Ma? That they think I know Jack Ma, but I'm going to say, please come on YouTube. These, on the other hand, are using weird stuff, inspirational. So these, Alex and he's the guy who makes stuff out of inside. Kunyo is huge, making all kinds and putting them up. And Louis Vuitton faster to design a whole bunch of bags. By the way, you can watch all these videos online. They're translated. A scientist in Boston back and talk about what he does, but a Thai researcher who's Bakan video in a second. He does who are paralyzed. Really, really cool. So Vega is, again, you should use design thinking people. She's a designer. She is not a scientist. Developed a sensor for that goes on yoga on that. Design think research point of view. It doesn't have to talk to scientists. Design path rather than she'll talk about in her video. Joe is female movie producer. She talks about a movie. Noelle is she does blockchain stuff. So this is kind of sheer. Again, they really bring something. I hope you guys join. I'll play a video so you can see what it was like last time. So what you can also have your team do. That's my boss.
So I don't want anyone of the audience to call. The audience to call.
จะอินโนเวทอะไรคุณต้องกล้าที่จะลอง
by this whole bank model. Forever and play for it is not about starting very much for China. So these are just some of our. So we have again. You are welcome to come to the accelerator and get involved in the accelerator. EF, which GSV venture competition. So that's a little bit more oriented. And if it's correct. The top closer because then it's hard to